Oliver and I, we're a couple tangled up in bitterness. We got married just as everything between us was falling apart. Honestly, it was kind of a blur, and now, I'm left wishing I hadn't. But still, I don't want a divorce. I know he's got someone on the side, and it's my hate and pain that keep me holding on, twisting the knife between them. Whenever they can't keep away from each other, I make sure to hit them where it hurts the most. Like when Oliver bailed on my mom's funeral to be with Sarah, I'd track them down at the restaurant they're eating at, standing right in front of them, holding my mom's photo in my hands. For example, when I had the baby, he wasn't there for me, so when I went to register the kid's household record, I made sure the baby took my last name, and the name wasn't even the one he'd carefully picked out. Later, when the kid started talking, he was all wrapped up in the child, but the kid would suddenly throw out words at him like, third party, cheating husband, and rotten cucumber. He'd stare at me with this pale, defeated look. After that, I found another way out. I just didn't want to keep dragging things out with him. I even posted on some website, ladies, my husband's a good guy, but he's got a side piece. Is this kind of marriage worth it? The answer was a clear, loud no. I gave it a shot, but it just wasn't happiness. Don't go down the same road again. We only get one lifetime, gotta find someone truly worth growing old with. Those deep, never-ending grudges? They're just love in disguise. Don't fool yourself. I've loved, I've hated, lost, and won, but now I just want to throw in the towel for good. Giving up isn't the scary part. You've only got one life, and that little truth says it all. Just live well. I'm getting a divorce. After I posted it, things blew up pretty fast. A few days later, Oliver reached out. Babe, can we talk? How about we don't get divorced? Chapter 1. Oliver got home late. By then, I was already lost in the expensive sound system I just splurged on, rewatching that old movie, Farewell My Concubine. Leslie Chung was painfully yelling. Stubborn as hell, a promise for life means exactly that, life. Miss it by a year, a month, a day, hell, even an hour. And it's not life at all. I was crying my eyes out. The first time, I didn't get the drama's point. The second time around, I was living it. Oliver slipped over in the dim light and tried to gently wipe my tears away. But that day, my tears were like a floodgate breaking loose. No amount of wiping could ever dry them. He let out a sigh. He asked me, "Is our son asleep?" I just nodded, got up, and headed to the kitchen, acting like I was busy. After a little while, I fixed him a snack and then went back to bed. The snack was just some ready-to-eat stuff from the supermarket. I just had to warm it up. Making him these little late-night snacks was something we started during the best years of us. No idea how it just stuck around. Habits can be damn hard to shake. He called after me, worry flickering in his eyes. Carly. He didn't manage to finish the sentence, like he wanted to say, "What's wrong with you?" but couldn't. This is the messed up place our relationship is stuck in right now. He picks up on the little things I'm feeling, but he can't seem to say what's really worrying him. Awkward and tense. Nothing feels right. I shot him a glance over my shoulder, but honestly, I wasn't really looking at him. I gave the whole house a once-over, feeling that small pang of reluctance inside. It's the place we've called home for 7 years. After all, knowing you've got to tear away the dead weight to move on still leaves the dull ache in my chest. Chapter 2. Next morning, I whipped up breakfast and dropped the kids off at the English tutoring class in the neighborhood. When I got back, Oliver was already digging into the meal I'd made. Breakfast looked pretty filling, but honestly, it was easy to throw together, not much fuss. Toast, fried eggs, milk, plus some butter garlic salt roasted potatoes from the air fryer, and a bit of veggies on the side, all made to fit our son's taste and what he needs nutritionally. I pretty much don't bother with Oliver. He probably knows that. There was never anything at breakfast that he really liked before. He'd just shove it down, wolfing it all like it was nothing. But today, he ate really slowly. I didn't have time to hang around with him though. Our son's English class wraps up in about an hour and a half, and I have to pick him up after school. I didn't care that he was puffing his cheeks, busy chewing. I just pulled the document out of the folder and shoved it right in front of him. He glanced at the title, froze for a second, then suddenly choked badly and started coughing like crazy. Bits of food flew everywhere. He let out an irritated sigh and fumbled for a tissue, wiping up the mess with a scowl. It was the divorce agreement. I waited until he settled down and said, "Sign it," before he could open his mouth with "What nonsense are you stirring up now?" I shut him down. "Don't doubt what I'm about. I'm the one who's been drained these past few years. Not you. The sooner this is done, the better for both of us. If I can't give you the happiness I once promised, then maybe we should just promise to go our separate ways and wish each other well." He's pale and usually so calm and collected, but right now, whether it was a cough or pure anger, his face went bright red. He just stared at me, silent for what felt like forever. "I'm not agreeing to this." He didn't even glance at the divorce agreement before pushing it back to me. I turned my head and thought about it, honestly. I wasn't ready to let go of the home we built over 7 years. The sadness hit its peak last night. People hang on to things out of habit. So yeah, I gave him some time. I gave a bitter laugh. "Don't act all surprised. You know exactly where things went downhill between us. Ice 3 feet thick doesn't freeze overnight. Making a big show out of this? That's a bit much. I remember you pulling the same crap on me. And now look, I'm giving it right back to you. If things get serious, I'll give you a month to wrap your head around it. After that, we move on with the plan." His face suddenly turned icy, voice cold and heavy. "And you still say I'm just making a fuss? We've been through everything these years. So what now? Divorce? What about our son? Ever think about him? You know, I always say you lose it every now and then. Looks like it's about that time again." In his early 30s, he was still that good-looking guy, and those years climbing the ladder just made him seem even more commanding. He was right in the prime of his life, but he was never really the one for me. I gave it my all, really tried, but in the end, it just wasn't meant to be. I let out a bitter laugh, colder than his. "Me causing trouble? You call raising kids causing trouble? Then what were you doing out there? Ever once think about the kids? Make no mistake, I'm the one who got hurt in this marriage. I've wasted all my best years. Go ask around, who'd want to marry a divorced woman with kids? I'm done for. I've completely ruined myself." I grit my teeth. Who the hell cares what you're still barking about? Chapter 3. The soft morning light slipped through the window, gently touching my chest. In the fierce, ugly faces we showed each other, I could still faintly remember the good times we once shared. We both came from the same backwater county, 2 small-town kids stuck in a testing rat race who ended up in this big, noisy city. Those shared struggles were what brought us together back in college. We really got each other's feelings and leaned on one another as we adjusted to life and dreamed about what was ahead. Life was tough and all, but it never felt hopeless. We used to be a bright spot in each other's worlds. When we graduated college, we made a deal. Whoever got into grad school would have the other one find a job and help them out financially. Basically, we just stuck together to keep warm. Back then, we thought love was stronger than anything, and if they were good, so were we. But when the grad school results came in, neither of us made the cut. So, we just gave up on that plan. Oliver and I both signed on with a big company at the same time. The company was great, but the jobs had nothing to do with what we studied, me with accounting, him with law. We both ended up doing sales. Sales is brutal. It really beats you up. But at the same time, it sharpens you. Looking back, a lot of my tough moves later on came straight out of those days. The company was strict about no office romances, so we kept our relationship underground. 2 years of sneaking around and stolen moments. By the 3rd year, when the business was booming, we both got promoted to sales team leader. He took the first team. I took the second. At a class reunion later on, we ended up hearing the same news about our past from our old classmates. Turns out we both made it into grad school after all. We lied to each other and didn't care. We were both fine being the one who gave blood, the one who served as the other's stepping stone. That night when I got home, he didn't say a single word. He just pulled me into a tight hug, and I wrapped my arms around him just as tight. Time was quiet. Everything else still, just the pounding of our hearts breaking through the silence of the night. He said, "The higher-ups promised me, if I hit my targets this year, I'll get bumped up to sales manager, with an annual salary and some stock options on top. Then we'll get married." I just nodded. If we're going to get married, one of us has to buckle. Old rule. The weaker one has to make the sacrifice. But we both had good credit. Nothing to really worry about on that front. Besides, with my background, finding another gig wouldn't be that tough. Sure enough, he hit his numbers, and the company officially announced he'd be stepping into the sales manager role right after the new year. We finally met each other's parents, and the wedding date got pushed onto the calendar. As for when to quit, Oliver said I should wait until after I get my year-end bonus to bring it up. But I just don't agree with that. My old boss, sales manager Li Jinjian, has been promoted to director. He's also the guy who gave me my big break. With him, I don't want to play any sneaky games. When it comes to leaving, I don't want things to get messy. I want to give him plenty of time to find someone to take my place. So I handed in my resignation. He's a straightforward guy and said, "You've given me enough time to find a replacement. Let's keep this quiet for now, and I'll think about whether to promote from within or hire someone new." I was a bit caught off guard. I honestly thought Susie would be the one to take over. I knew exactly what she was capable of. Plus, she was someone I trusted completely. But I didn't say a word, just nodded to show I'd handle it. Chapter 4. A lot of upheavals sneak up on you. Quieter than you'd expect. Oliver and I were both sales team leaders at first, part partners, part rivals. When we teamed up on a project, sometimes our eyes would meet, and in that brief moment, there was this secret, quiet kind of happiness. Sometimes we'd be traveling to opposite ends of the country, and those nighttime video calls became our little escape. There were nights we'd stay on video together until we finally turned off the lights and called it a day. There was this huge project not long ago. It was his last hurrah as team leader. Our two teams joined forces to face off against Party A. We were all working side by side in the same space with Party A. Familiar faces mixed with strangers. The whole place buzzing and a bit chaotic. I was clutching some documents, rushing down the hallway, about to head back to my office. That's when I noticed someone nearby dropping papers all over the floor. I was in such a hurry, so I had to stick close to the wall, trying hard not to step on any of the mess. A young girl was frantically trying to pick everything up at my feet, completely flustered and kind of all over the place. Not far off, there was a guy crouched on the ground, picking up papers, counting the pages, and lining them up, doing his best to make the messy pile a bit easier to handle later. I slowed down, and when I looked over, he looked tired too. He lifted his head and stretched his neck. Our eyes met for a moment, and wouldn't you know, it was Oliver. I hurried over to help, but when I grabbed the papers, I realized they weren't from our company. Oliver was helping someone else. It seemed, honestly, I was pretty surprised. I knew him. After all, a small-town guy with a rough background, always a little insecure but kind of full of himself. Usually not the type to do favors or be all friendly and approachable. And now, out of nowhere, they're actually willing to step up. The girl behind me said thanks. And when I turned to look at her, her voice was soft and kind, her face delicate. Since she wasn't with our company, she had to be working for Party A. Suddenly, I felt pretty drained, so I handed my stuff over to the girl and muttered, "Take your time. I've got something urgent to deal with." I walked on a bit, swiped my access card, and the moment the door clicked open, I glanced back at those two once more. They'd already gathered the papers, squeezing the two piles into one. Oliver was over there, helping the girl check the page numbers and codes. It just hit me, Oliver's actually the worst when it comes to handling all that tedious paperwork. Back when he traveled for work, I was the one who sorted out all his receipts, meals, hotels, taxis, and not only did I stick them in place, I had to make a detailed expense report for him, too. I couldn't help but quietly lose my temper. When I got back to my desk, I overheard some of Party A's female staff gossiping. "Hey, did you see? That little drama queen messed up again. Left a huge pile of files just scattered all over the floor because she didn't bother to clip them." Another one clicked her tongue and said, "Bet some sucker's gonna have to clean up after her again." Then the third one chimed in, "You nailed it this time. Turns out it's actually a big shot from Party B." The first one jumped in, "Whoa, this damn charm of yours." Everyone cracked up. I got even madder. At lunch, Oliver texted me, "Party A's got a woman named Sarah, from our same county, went to the same high school even, a junior underclassman, just like us. She scraped through school on a scholarship. Weird coincidence. Huh?" He added, "She's the one I just helped pick up those files for." I asked, How do you know her? Did you talk about that when you helped with the files? He said. Yeah, I replied. Well, that's a funny coincidence. Honestly, you're kinda helpful. I didn't expect that. He was left speechless. Then I said, from now on, deal with your own expense reports. I'm not your maid. He looked shocked. What's up, babe? What did I do wrong? Nothing's wrong. It just kinda makes me uncomfortable. He just helped pick up some files. But then he went further, sorted things out for her, and even started chatting about family stuff. Is this how you usually act? What happened to your cool, aloof image? Chapter 5. After a few busy days, our two companies held a big meeting to go over the final results, and everyone involved in the project had to be there. A secretary from Party A hooked up the device, and the computer screen lit up. She smoothly opened the folder, but then froze for a second. Looks like one file's missing. Everyone got kind of jittery, worried they might get dragged into this. The secretary slowly turned to Sarah and said, "You were the one who gathered all the final drafts in this folder, right? How could one be missing?" Turns out, the files were each made by different employees, and Sarah was in charge of collecting them all onto the USB stick. The secretary pressed on. Which one's missing? Can anyone figure it out? Then someone from Party A raised their hand and said, "That missing file's mine." But I gave it straight to Sarah. Party A's top boss took a deep breath and let it out slowly. Sarah, pack up your stuff. You don't have to come in tomorrow. I won't give you the internship report. But I'm not going to make a big deal about it with your school either. Sarah's face flushed red. Tears brimmed in her eyes. Her whole expression soaked with sadness. Just as everyone was about to move on, Oliver jumped in. Actually, it might not have been Sarah's fault after all. Our company's Susie also used this USB drive, so maybe she messed it up. I just saw her earlier, looking like she'd made a mistake and kept double-checking something. Susie jumped up, flustered, trying to defend herself. No way. I just have this habit of double-checking stuff. Oliver rubbed his nose like it was no big deal and said, I saw you frowning and sweating. I thought. He was clearly steering everyone to pin it on Susie. Susie looked on the verge of tears. I didn't. I've never messed up like this before. How could it just happen this time? I just stared at Oliver with cold eyes. What a so-called hero saving the damsel. Oliver's got a sharp face and this cool vibe. Back in school, he was the one all the girls liked. Once he stepped into the workplace, he adjusted fast, handling all those big, high-pressure moments like it was nothing. By the time he was 26, he'd climbed into mid to senior management and was a favorite of the chairman. I'd always been drawn to the way his face was cool but carried this quiet kind of weariness, and I admired how mature and steady he was for his age. Honestly, I especially loved watching him take control of a meeting. But right now, his face was a blur. There was this faint, sinister edge to him, like he was enjoying the power to bully others. I swallowed the chaos inside me, stood up smoothly but with steel in my voice, and said, We're finishing the meeting first. Then we check the surveillance. Unless there's no footage, I want answers. Nobody's messing with me on this one. After I said that, I threw a look at Oliver. He caught the hint, furrowing his brow as he locked eyes with me, clearly not thrilled. Once the meeting ended, I found Susie in the fire exit, sobbing her heart out, and I spoke softly to calm her down. Heavy footsteps echoed closer. The fire exit door swung open, and it was Oliver who showed up. He took a softer stance and tried to ease Susie's mind. I'm not trying to pin this on you. I honestly thought it might have been you. But if it really was, and Party A got it wrong, that poor girl's future would be toast. Susie kept her head down, looking miserable, but the moment she looked up, she put on a whole different face, soft and quiet, like she was trying to soothe the situation. I get it, Boss Oliver. You wouldn't accuse me on purpose. I know. They brazenly pinned the blame on her, and all she could do was say what she thought they wanted to hear. Swallowing her pride, classic workplace bullying. I saw it all, and my blood boiled. Then Susie gave a small nod and said, All right, I'm out of here. I wanted to walk out with her, but Oliver called after me. Carly, I need a word with you. I stopped dead in my tracks, turned around to look at him, my face ice cold. I heard Susie's footsteps fade away, and Oliver dropped the act. His face went dark and stiff. You just have to be against me, don't you? I was cool as a cucumber. Against you? What makes you say that? He sucked in a sharp breath, looking utterly helpless. You know I'm trying to protect Sarah. So why'd you want to check the surveillance? I chuckled bitterly. Protect Sarah? Did I get that right? You two have only known each other a few days, haven't you? And how long have we been working with Susie? Seriously, what's wrong with you? You can't even tell who's close and who isn't. Chapter 6. He gave me that frustrated look like I was hopeless and snapped. You think blaming Susie will do anything? She's qualified and knows her stuff. Do you really think the company would fire her over some tiny mess? But Sarah's different. She's just an intern. If they decide to kick her out, that's it. Can't you tell what really matters here? I let out a bitter chuckle. If I quit, Susie's probably the one who'll take over. This whole thing could blow up or blow over. I don't want her caught in the crossfire. By the time I finished, Oliver had already stopped listening closely. He was pacing, lost in thought, muttering, "They're checking the cameras now. What if they catch us?" He suddenly looked up at me, annoyed. You're always poking your nose where it doesn't belong. I let out a quiet sigh. It's only been a few years. Oliver, you've really forgotten where you came from. Remember that first winter after we started working? You got totally wasted, and I had to fight through the snow just to pick you up at that restaurant. You know why you got drunk, right? Because your boss wrongly blamed you. He knew it wasn't your fault but shoved it all on you anyway. You told me before, you hate workplace injustice more than anything, and when you sobered up, you said if you ever became a boss, you'd never let your people get treated like that, no matter what. Oliver just stood there, totally dumbfounded, staring at me like he couldn't even form a word. I shot him a bitter laugh. Congrats. You finally turned into the exact person you hate. All for your precious Sarah. And with that, I just walked off. But my mind was miles away, and I stumbled, almost tripping over my own feet. Oliver rushed over to grab me, but I shoved him away hard and snapped. Keep your filthy hands off me, he muttered. What's the matter, babe? Getting this worked up over something so dumb? I grit my teeth. You're pathetic. Everyone sees right through your little act. So stop pretending. Disgusting. He argued desperately. Honey, I didn't. I said bitterly. Don't call me honey. I don't deserve it. After checking the surveillance, we finally found the evidence proving that it was Sarah who was at fault. Her company had long been completely disappointed in her. And on top of this matter, Sarah was disqualified from the internship. 1 month later, Oliver officially took up the position of sales manager. 2 months later, Sarah came to intern at our company as a trainee, working in the sales group 1, where the team leader was Oliver's trusted associate, Wang Gang. From then on, busy as he was newly promoted to sales manager, Oliver often brought home simple PPT files to help Sarah review and proofread, making sure she could pass smoothly. If he's gonna waste his energy on everyone else, then I don't see why I should keep looking out for him. I stopped making breakfast altogether. Just grabbed something quick from the corner store and ate it on the go. Alone. Dinner? I just ate out with my coworkers before heading home. No more staying up late to make snacks or fruit for him. Back then, no matter how crazy our schedules were, we'd still have some kind of downtime together. I started doing my own laundry, hanging it up, folding it myself. Oliver's never been into chores. He'd only remember to toss his dirty clothes in the washer when he ran out of clean stuff, but then he'd forget to take them out. And by the time he reopened the machine, it'd already be reeking. He finally, kind of late, shot me a message. Wife, can we talk? After all these years of his secret affair, this was the first time he blatantly messaged me during work hours. I just shot back. On a business trip. Right after, he jumped in to take over talking to the wedding planners, like he was trying to butter me up, saying, the wedding date's important. You focus on your trip. I'll handle the wedding stuff and keep you posted on everything. His sudden switch caught me totally off guard. He's one of those guys who's all fire on the outside but ice cold inside. Kind of stiff and shut down. Keeping everything bottled up is just how he rolls. But of course, when it came to work, he was a whole different person. Then, out of nowhere, I just stopped wanting to talk to him. I was still giving him the silent treatment. At that point, his numbness saved him. Honestly, He just wasn't sensitive to stress, could shrug off pressure like nothing. It's what made him stand out among all those sharp people. He's got crazy endurance. After a while, I started to feel a bit softer inside. On business trips, time was actually kind of flexible. During the workday, I could sneak off to the park for a bit. Soaking up the warm sunlight, it was peaceful. I covered my face with my hands. I felt totally shut off from the world around me. I asked myself if I still even wanted to marry Oliver. And the answer was yes, I still wanted some kind of resolution with him. So I tried to focus on the positives. He'd already put in a lot of effort just to marry me, even working on his own personal flaws. He just stepped into the sales manager role, still not totally settled, with 3 big projects he needed to light a fire under. But he still made time to carefully handle every part of the wedding and kept up communication with me. In the end, I told myself maybe Oliver was just trying to help out some locals from back home, and that maybe it wasn't as huge a deal as it felt. I mean, coming from such a small, out-of-the-way spot, passing that exam wasn't exactly a walk in the park. With the whole wedding thing going on, Sarah started to fade into the background. Not so much of a pain anymore. Chapter 7. But man, I got slapped in the face pretty fast. I was honestly shocked that after grinding it out in the big city all this time, I could still be that naive. Susie hit me up saying Sarah's screw-ups had become old news. And our team too wasn't just getting dragged down by her mess, we were also catching all the blame. Susie was covering my role for now. And when she stood her ground, our boss Oliver flat out took Sarah's side. Now, Team 2's full of complaints that just won't quit. I told her to sort out what happened and send it to me, so I can report back to the director when I get home. At the same time, I had her and the other team members keep a close eye on Sarah, whether it's work stuff or personal, and report anything fishy to me right away. I told her, with all this sneaky, under-the-table workplace BS, you gotta drag the drama into the open, best if everyone knows about it. That's the only way we can actually protect ourselves. Also, we need to rally some allies. If our Team 2 ends up taking the heat for her, Team 1 definitely won't get off easy either. If everyone bands together, it's only a matter of time before she's out. Susie said she got it loud and clear. Before long, I got wind of Sarah's personal life. Turns out she'd already rented a place off campus, pretty close to work. She was always showing off how happy she was on social media. Like she said, God must have known I had it rough and sent me Big Brother. An angel. I didn't even know I needed curtains at home until Big Brother pointed it out. I can't put up curtains for the life of me. So Big Brother had to step in. He's my Superman. Really. I told him I'd never tried velvet cake before, so he went and got one for me. He warned me not to eat it at my desk and to save it for home after work, but I couldn't help sneaking a bite. Man, it was amazing, absolutely lived up to its velvet name. We've been slowly adding things to the house one by one, and Big Brother's been putting in both cash and elbow grease, honestly. He deserves a lot of credit. Chapter 8. As I looked at all these things, one after another, I couldn't help but fall silent. Oliver and I just bought a new place, and it's being renovated. He's juggling work, keeping an eye on the renovation progress, and somehow took on planning the wedding too. Oh, and let's not forget the mystery little sister he has to look after on the side. Yeah, poor guy really has his hands full. Then finance posted an employee loan form in the work chat, and to my surprise, Oliver had already taken out a 100,000 yuan advance on his salary. The first thing that went through my head was that he'd blown the money on Sarah. So I fired off a message asking him exactly where the hell the money had gone. He sent me a picture of a diamond ring, priced at 120,000, and he went on about how great it'd be if our wedding date was next year. By then, his paycheck would be way bigger, so he wouldn't have to borrow money just to buy it. I thought about it. Sarah's little rental really didn't call for that kind of cash, so I wasn't totally sure what to believe. I threw out a cautious question. Did you actually pay for it? I mean, spending that much. Why didn't you even check with me? He quickly shot back. I wouldn't dare just do whatever. I have to pick the ring with you. Playing along, I kept pressing. You really didn't put down a deposit, right? He hurried and sent me screenshots of his chats with the jewelry store staff. The salespeople were clinging to him pretty hard, but he kept insisting he'd wait until I got back. That ring he wanted was indeed the one priced at 120,000. That's the whole point I was trying to nail down. Out of nowhere, My emotions just hit me all at once, so tangled. So heavy. Man. I was really scared. Honestly scared Oliver was dipping into his paycheck to buy furniture for Sarah. What I finally found out by poking around was exactly what I wanted to know. But it didn't calm me down one bit, it just left me feeling defeated and pathetic. Chapter 9. The first thing I did after I got back to town wasn't going home, it was heading straight to Sarah's school to do a little digging. Pretending to be her internship supervisor at her company. The school's a third-tier one, but the vibe's still pretty decent. I checked with her classmates and found out that even though she was on a scholarship, she was still buying name-brand stuff. The school had even pulled her in for a talk about it. Then, using the info she gave the school, I tracked down where she's living now. It was right around rush hour, so I decided to head straight over to her place. I hung back for a bit, leaning against the wall in a shadowed corner. The elevator doors opened and Sarah stepped out, small bag over her shoulder. Hands free. Oliver was right behind her, lugging a bunch of heavy shopping bags, looking totally worn out. I always thought Oliver really took good care of me, but turns out he's just as good at looking after other girls. They didn't even notice I was there. Just opened the door like I was invisible. Sarah said, "Ollie, man, thanks for giving me a home. I come from a rough background. I honestly don't know the first thing about setting up a place. Without you, I'd be lost." Then she went on, "Once I'm all settled, I'll invite you over to warm up the pot together." Oliver said, "We're all from the same hometown, it's not easy for any of us. If you ever need anything, just hit me up." Right when they were about to shut the door, I slowly stepped forward. They froze. Something felt off. Instead of shutting the door, they both turned and looked right at me. When they saw it was me, you could tell they were surprised, maybe even a little scared. Sarah went on the defensive right away, snapping, "What the hell are you doing here?" I sneered. "Heard you've been giving a lot of trouble to my team. Figured I'd come say hello." Then I glanced at Oliver and said, "And I heard you've been playing protector for your female subordinate. Seemed like fun. Thought I'd come see for myself." Oliver's face went cold. "What crap are you spouting now? Who's been feeding you this nonsense? You're this old, still got no shame? Who's laughing at me?" I shot back, pointing at Sarah. "Her? She's the last person with a right to laugh. That woman's always making a fool of herself, and she thinks she can laugh at me? Please. And about those coworkers, ha. You say they're laughing at me? You wanna hear how they're really laughing at you?" I fired back, fuming. Oliver caught his breath and said, "Let's save this talk for when we get home." I shoved past him, squeezed between him and Sarah, and stormed inside. I glanced around and started filming everything with my phone. Oliver came at me, fuming, yelling, "What the hell are you doing?" I didn't even bother answering before they could really react. I kept filming as I walked through the place, quickly covering the whole one-bedroom apartment. Oliver stepped in front of Sarah, saying, "What exactly do you think you're doing?" I let out a bitter laugh. Foolish me. Still not fully realizing what I was trying to do. I quickly sent the video to Susie and told her to keep it safe. Then I shot a sarcastic look at Oliver. "You really think I'm gonna hit her?" I pointed right at Sarah. "Why the hell would I hit her? Because she's the other woman?" Oliver sighed and grabbed me. "Let's deal with this at home." I stared coldly back at him, saying it here won't make a difference. I looked around and said, "I've already been to her school." The moment the words left my mouth, their faces went pale at the same time. I didn't care. So I told her, "She's still drowning in student loans, and owes classmates money too, so who's really footing the bill for all this furniture?" Sarah finally couldn't hold back. She'd been half hidden behind Oliver, but suddenly popped out. "I've been getting a paycheck for the last 2 months, okay?" I kept my cool and said, "Yeah, I get that. But snapping up all that stuff at once? That can't be all covered. So, who's actually paying? What kind of arrangement did you make? Don't just throw wild accusations." Sarah fired back, clearly upset. I gave a nod. "I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just going to post the video I recorded and let people decide for themselves." I shot a look back at Oliver. "I'm gonna check your accounts. See if you've been spending a dime on her. Look, even if you two aren't in some kept arrangement, being that tight means no one's gonna buy your story. And don't think I'll be covering for her anymore." Only then did Sarah snap back. Who do you think you are? Digging into his finances? What's your deal with him? I laughed dryly. I'm his wife. Yeah. We got the paperwork done, no fancy wedding. Though. Sarah pressed her lips tight, her face stiff as a board. Saying nothing, I turned on my heel and walked off. Oliver was right behind me, rushing to catch up. He grabbed me suddenly, saying, Carly, what are you making such a scene about? You know damn well Sarah and I aren't like that. I shot back with a cold glare. I don't know. You two just give off that kind of vibe. Anyway, I'm tired. I just want to rest. He let go of my hand, looking defeated. Besides still paying off the mortgage, Oliver and I put all our paychecks onto one card now. For the renovation and the wedding expenses. It's in my name, so I can check the balance whenever I want. He took an advance of 100,000 yuan from his salary, and since he hasn't paid it back yet, the numbers should add up exactly. Chapter 10. Not long after I got home, Oliver showed up too. He was in the kitchen cooking, and I just nodded off. Later, he woke me up and told me to come eat with him. I ate slowly, and we didn't exchange a single word the whole time. The place felt eerily silent. After a long pause, I asked him, where'd you get the ingredients? Don't tell me you and Sarah bought them. Planning to cook for the two of you, right? He just kept his head down, silent, digging in without a word when I asked. I slammed my bowl down after finishing fast and suddenly said, let's just break up. I can't live like this anymore. Oliver kept eating with his head down and said, I'll change. Let's not even bring up breaking up, remember. We have that marriage certificate. We're supposed to be partners for life. I just stared at him cold as ice, watching him struggle more and more just to swallow. The next day, Oliver took half the day off. No one had a clue where he disappeared to. I tracked down Li Jingqian and filled him in on how the team got treated unfairly while I was gone. He said he'd take it seriously, as long as he's aware of what's what. That's enough. About that video we took at Sarah's place yesterday, Susie and I agreed to keep it under wraps. For now, just enough to scare them straight so they don't mess around again. My teammates and I ordered lunch from a restaurant and went out to celebrate together. I also brought milk tea for everyone in Group 1, plenty of them are on our side. We all knew what was up without saying it. I honestly think if we stick together, we'll have Sarah out of here in no time. But then Sarah's official confirmation came through, still Oliver's secretary. Just like before. Lucky her. No more running around in the field or chasing clients. Just sitting back and toasting all day. Susie was looking pretty down, so I grabbed her shoulder and said, don't worry. I've got you. I'm about to quit soon. That's my ace up my sleeve. I've got nothing to lose now. When I got home that day, it hit me, things had gotten so messed up. Maybe I really should think about breaking up with Oliver. We'd already snapped at each other in front of the boss, and with everyone else around. We were clearly on opposite sides. We just don't see eye to eye anymore. Now here we are, standing at a crossroads. What if I actually do call it quits with Oliver? Then maybe I wouldn't have to quit my job after all. I sank down on the couch, lost in thought. At the very least, the wedding's gotta be put on hold. I need to really figure this out before moving forward. I need to seriously rethink what's going on between me and Oliver. Thinking about all this, I can't help but feel this heavy, aching sadness. The quiet of the room was shattered by the sound of the door opening. I looked over, my eyes colder than ever. Oliver was back. He gave me a quick look but didn't say a word, moving slowly like nothing was wrong. I stayed put, not moving. He came over, crouched down right in front of me, and pulled out a piece of paper, a notarization certificate. Clear as day. He flipped through it for me. It laid out every detail about what's ours before and after marriage. Apparently, this place counts as my property before we got married, and even the part of the mortgage we paid together is considered my own. And right there, it says if Oliver cheats after we're married, with solid proof, he walks away with nothing, all on his own free will. The way he looked at me was so clear and pure, just like when we were kids. I wiped my nose and suddenly felt like breaking down. He pulled me close and whispered, in my heart, Sarah doesn't even come close. She's not worth a single finger on your hand. Just relax. Be my bride. I'll make sure you're happy. As for Sarah, that's where I draw the line. I won't do anything crazy anymore. I finally started crying out loud. I thought I was about to lose Oliver. And that terrified me. The emptiness behind me was suffocating. That sudden urge to break up? Yeah, I shoved it way down before it could take hold. Chapter 11. By this point, I'd made up my mind. I was gonna deal with the one who was stirring all this mess. Susie and I teamed up, roped in a colleague from Group 1, and the three of us set out to give Sarah a taste of her own medicine. That Group 1 guy had been through hell with Sarah too. He was a science guy, and a bunch of his classmates were total computer geeks. Before long, screenshots of Sarah's WeChat chats popped up in the company's big group chat. Sarah texted, "Ollie, are you and Carly really an item?" Oliver shot back, "Yeah." Sarah said, "Ollie, I feel like Carly is really harsh. Does she dislike me?" Oliver said, "Don't overthink it. Just keep working hard." Sarah said, "But what can I do? I don't enjoy working. I only like daydreaming. Unfortunately, dreams always end, and it makes me very sad." Oliver paused for a while without responding. Oliver said, "Focus on your work and stop making those basic mistakes. I'm really tired of cleaning up your messes. If you feel stressed, find a boyfriend and fall in love. Don't waste your youth." Sarah said, "I feel like I'm losing my mind, 1 minute crying, the next laughing." Oliver, if you've got time, why not focus on getting the basics of secretarial work down? Wallowing in sadness won't help. Sarah, you rewrite. You're such a good teacher. Without you, what would I even do? Promise you won't ignore me later, okay? Oliver's reply isn't in the screenshot. Still, there's plenty to go on here. I had someone use some tech tricks to get Sarah to spill the beans about me and Oliver. There's a few ways you can read this. From Sarah's point of view, she has no clue how those screenshots ended up in the workgroup chat. But push her too far, and she'll say she didn't mean to upload it, that it was the only way she could find any kind of relief. Still, it gives us something to hang over her head. Another careless slip-up. With what I told Li Jingqian before, there's no way she's getting off easy this time. And no matter how she spins it, people will come to their own conclusions. This time she outed my secret affair with Oliver. I can't stay at the company after that. Yeah, my secret thing with Oliver was wrong, and the company will deal with it. But Sarah, the one who spilled the beans, that's just low. Straight up dirty. From here on out, she's going to be hated by everyone and have a rough road. Chapter 12. I got what I wanted, but it didn't sit right with me. Those chats in the second half, Sarah's feelings were actually pretty easy to pick up on. And Oliver? He knew Sarah had a thing for him, said no with his mouth, but never actually kept his distance. I just had Susie hire someone to use some tech to leak my secret affair and pin it on Sarah. But honestly, I had no clue what exactly they'd intercept. To be honest, I was pretty down about it. Oliver's vague, wishy-washy attitude was shoved right in my face. It stung. He didn't love me as much as I thought he did. And honestly, I felt so lost. Part of me felt hollow, and the rest just seemed to cave in. There was bitterness, a sharp sting, like my own flesh being torn out. And then the self-doubt kicked in. I kept thinking maybe I wasn't good enough. That rush of victory? It faded so much. There was barely anything left. Later, I dragged myself back together, hoping the company would fire Sarah. But Oliver stood in the way, and Sarah ended up sticking around anyway. He said to me, "Carly, Sarah's just that kind of person, no bad intentions. Just sloppy work, so I want to train her to be more careful and detail-oriented." I was like, is this place totally empty or what? Why won't you just let her go? Oliver closed his eyes, looking exhausted. I told you, she's different. We're from the same hometown. She's a junior, and they've both been through the same crap. Once again, I started thinking maybe I should just walk away. It all felt so damn pointless. Turns out, he didn't love me as much as I thought, so he never really bothered about how I felt. In this whole mess, besides feeling let down, I also felt kind of awkward, like I didn't belong. And just at that moment, I found out I was pregnant. A friend of mine got pregnant out of the blue, but after she miscarried, for some reason, she just couldn't have kids anymore. Later on, she tore herself apart trying to have a kid, ended up looking like a wreck, and then she had to put up with the doctor's snide remarks, running to the OR when she was young, now creeping into fertility clinics because of her age. With her mess as a warning, I couldn't help but feel scared. I felt lost, confused, and my heart was just aching. Oliver came to chat. Just casual like, saying, "The house back home is due for relocation. The payout's definitely coming this year. Once that's done, we'll bring your mom here, sell the old place, and I'll set aside the relocation money, making it clear I'm giving it willingly. Then, we'll combine that with what we have to buy your mom a little apartment nearby, so we can easily look out for each other." His suggestion really landed right where it hurt. He knew my mom was the one thing I cared about most. I didn't say no, but I didn't answer either. I was caught in an impossible spot. If this had happened before, I'd have been thrilled. But now, I just felt dark inside. He licked his cracked lips and said, "Honestly, here's how I see it. Sarah's already lost her chance to graduate, and I'm the one who screwed it all up. I might as well see it through to the end. I got her started here with me, helped her get through that rough newbie phase. Once she's got some experience, I'll move her somewhere else or let her find a new gig. Having this secretary job on her record will make finding work a lot easier for her down the road." I stared right into his eyes without blinking, like I was trying to see straight into his heart. He didn't look away, just let me look him over. I told him I needed time to think about it. He looked totally shocked. He really thought his offer and honesty would win me over. So, what was I even hesitating about? Then he threw in another offer. "From now on, I'll hand over my paycheck card, and you can just give me some spending money." His lips trembled as he begged, "I'll work harder to get ahead, and I promise I'll be a good husband who won't let you down." I just let out a heavy sigh. The wedding date was only a month away, and the company had already picked someone to take my place. Chapter 13. There were so many people at my wedding. Oliver was also planning a big party back home, so most of the folks here today were his co-workers and friends. I told him I was pregnant. His eyes lit up like fireworks. He jumped up, pacing back and forth in the living room, clenching his fists and waving them around like he just couldn't believe it. You could barely put into words how excited he was. Picking up on the good mood, I said, "I can't really worry about the wedding decorations or the schedule. I need to focus on taking care of the baby. Why don't you ask Sarah to help? The girl's got a thing for you. Let her be part of our happy day. Maybe that'll finally knock it out of her head." He didn't even think twice before agreeing to what I asked. Then he tried to reassure me, saying, "It's on me for not telling her I was getting married earlier, making her catch feelings she shouldn't have." Luckily, it didn't last long, and there wasn't any real emotional investment. Don't read too much into it. She'll eventually get over it. Put yourself in my shoes. If you knew someone already had a wife, would you still be hung up on them? I shot back with a loaded meaning. You just don't get women. She had you buy her a velvet cake, right? Said she'd never had one before. But when I checked around at her school, her classmates told me her life's not exactly all that simple. They said she throws out cakes all the time because they go bad. He grabbed me, all excited, and said, "Babe, I swear I'll keep my distance from her. Let's just hold on for another year. After that, once she's a bit more grown up, I'll move her over to the operations team. Then, after she racks up a couple more years' experience, I'll push her to quit and go on her own. After that, no more contact between us." I kept my face calm, but inside, my mind was racing with all kinds of chaos. A year as a close assistant, 2 years as her boss. Who could feel safe with that kind of situation hanging over 3 years? Sarah actually didn't start her internship here. She got fired from another place first, and it was Oliver who brought her into our company. What I took on willingly ended up turning into this heavy burden I couldn't shake. No telling what's going to happen next. There's no way I'm just gonna sit around and take this. I was watching people coming and going at the wedding venue, so lively, so loud, while in my head, I was just waiting for the whole damn show to start. Honestly, I barely even cared about the wedding itself, like I'd completely lost sight of what it even meant. Everything went smooth, and when Oliver and I hit the floor to toast, it all looked totally normal on the surface. Then, right in the middle of it, the big screen suddenly flashed up a video of Sarah wearing my wedding dress. She had my dress on, was putting a crown on her head, checking herself out in the mirror from every angle, and every now and then, she'd chat on the phone like she owned the place. The camera got closer, and her voice came through clear, "Ollie, do I look good? You've gotta admit, Being young still beats anything, right? Oliver snapped. What the hell are you doing? Take it off. Now. Sarah laughed softly. Ollie, you told me to find someone else to date. I did, but it just didn't feel right. What can I say? I still like you. Heavy breathing, deep and rough, came from the other side. Pissed off like hell. After a long pause, a sigh came. Fine. Take it off. I'll give you some time to get used to this. But if you cross the line, don't blame me for walking away. After a bit, he threw out another line. Don't let your sister-in-law find out you sneaked into the wedding dress. She's kind of a germ freak. The whole crowd went nuts. This time, like before, it was all planned by me ahead of time. Using the same trick. I just wanted everyone to think it was Sarah who did it, that she was messing with me on purpose. Trying to wreck my wedding and tear my family apart. Since Sarah was running the whole wedding and the one most able to mess with the big screen, it made sense. If you think she wasn't capable, well, thanks to Oliver's careful coaching lately, she's gotten better at it. So this time, there's no way she's slipping through. I gave up my own wedding just to see her lose her job. I can't stand the thought of her hanging around my husband. We've come this far, and honestly, I'm not ready to lose him. Once you pick a path, you've got to wipe out every obstacle in the way. Everything's going smooth now. Susie really picked a pro for the tech stuff, phones, surveillance, you name it. He nailed it. But what the hell? Why am I suddenly dizzy? I was supposed to just fake fainting. Pregnant women dropping like that's pretty common, right? That would have wiped away all doubt against me. But now I'm seriously dizzy. What the hell's wrong with me? Is it really because I saw Sarah in my wedding dress and overheard their disgusting little chat? Did that mess me up that bad? Before I even had a chance to wrap my head around it, everything just went black. Chapter 14. When I came to again in the hospital, I was hooked up to all kinds of monitors, and the doctor was checking the baby's heartbeat. Oliver was there, sitting by the bed with his eyes bloodshot, holding my hand tight. His hand was warm and dry, while mine felt cold and clammy. When he noticed I was awake, his voice was rough and hoarse. It's okay now, Carly. Really, you and the baby are okay. What I really wanted to say was, Sarah, you're something else. You brought the wolf right into our home, and you're just as bad. My anger was aimed straight at Sarah, but then the sudden wave of exhaustion hit me and I just shut my eyes, letting myself slip into a fog. Oliver, clearly worried and scared, shook me gently a few times. Carly. He turned to the doctor nearby and asked, Doc, is she going to be all right? The doctor's calm reply came, she fainted a bit ago. Probably just tired now. Baby's heartbeat is steady. Just keep a close watch. Okay, Oliver replied, his voice low and heavy. The moment I spoke again, guilt hit me like a ton of bricks. It's all my fault. Sarah, I'll handle this. I swear. I won't go sticking my nose in other people's business anymore. There was this strange, hard to explain feeling inside me. I just couldn't shake off the gloom. I finally beat the other woman. Winning wasn't easy, but my heart was still hollow. No matter what I tried, it wouldn't fill up. The cold wind roared through, wild and ruthless, coming and going without a care, completely unblocked. It was like I'd forgotten something really important, but no matter how hard I racked my brain, it just wouldn't come back to me. I blinked my eyes open slowly. Oliver's face rough with stubble, his eyes bloodshot and raw. I didn't say a word and just shut my eyes again. He was holding my hand, then squeezed it a little harder. Years later, I kept asking myself, why didn't I just bring up divorce back then? Because deep down, I really thought Oliver wouldn't seriously be into a woman like that. Shallow, rude, dumb, and honestly, apart from being a little younger, she wasn't even as good-looking as me. He was just chasing some fleeting excitement. I mean, we had been together forever. Getting bored was expected. Truth be told, I was tired too, but I never took the leap he did. Turns out, I was dead wrong. Everyone keeps saying I'm smart, but they forget one thing, sometimes being too clever just blows up in your face. I thought I had everyone all figured out, totally sure of myself. But truth is, I didn't really know a soul. I didn't even understand myself. I overestimated who I was. I thought I was wide awake. But really, I was just sinking deeper while pretending to be clear-headed. I'm angry. I hate him. But I'm also stuck holding on, and I try to forgive. When you're dragged forward by love, there's really no turning back. At least not until you smack right into a wall. Chapter 15. 2 days before my due date, Oliver started his vacation, with the guy's paternity leave added in. He's probably off for about a month. From the moment we walked into that company, it felt like we'd been wound up like clocks, working crazy hard, never taking a single holiday off. This time, Oliver really threw caution to the wind. He handed all his work over to Li Xingqian and didn't worry about a thing. Just focused on being with me during the pregnancy. He went through my maternity bag a dozen times, acting like he was scared he'd forget something. Kept checking in with the maternity nurse over and over, making sure nothing at home was missing or overlooked. He actually came across as pretty competent. That gave me a little bit of peace of mind. From what I've seen, not every guy does this. Lots of them claim they just can't get involved. But really, they're just lazy and don't want to help. Half of them haven't even got their own lives figured out. They're huge man children. No way they'd ever share any of the burden with their wives. The due date's really just a rough guess. Nobody really knows when labor's gonna kick in. You just gotta wait and see. That evening, Oliver got a call saying something came up at work and he had to head over. People like us with no connections, whatever the personal crap is, if it slows down work, we're automatically the bad guys. I told him to get going, fast. Since we're stuck together, we might as well do this right. I have to look out for him too. He threw on his clothes fast and, just before leaving, said, I'll be back as soon as I can. Can't stop worrying about you. He frowned again and said, this payout from the demolition's taking forever. If it comes to it, maybe your mom should come over first. I kept urging him to get out of here, and this time, he actually did. He left around 6. And I hit the sack at 8. Some pregnant women can't sleep. Others just can't wake up. Guess I was the latter. Half dazed. I felt another contraction hit. Contractions had been coming pretty often lately, but I was too wiped out to even care. It wasn't until my water broke and soaked the sheets that I realized. Oh shit. This is really happening. This time, the contractions were steady, painfully steady. So yeah. Today's the day I was having this baby. But Oliver? Yeah, not by my side. So I dragged myself out of bed and started cleaning up on my own. The second my feet hit the floor, even more water broke loose, spilling everywhere on the ground. I was scared I'd slip while cleaning up. So without thinking, I grabbed a mop to soak up the mess. Then my lower back started aching, and I could really feel the pressure weighing down on my belly. Honestly, I was freaking out inside. But still, I stubbornly decided to clean up the floor before doing anything else. Once I'd got everything sorted, it hit me, maybe I shouldn't have taken a taxi to the hospital. My water broke and leaked all over the taxi seat. The driver must have been annoyed. And I guess some people might even see that as bad luck. There wasn't much I could do. So I just called Oliver. The call went through, but no one picked up. I was freaking out, almost jumping up and down. Then out of nowhere, I called 120 and told them, I'm about to have the baby, but I twisted my ankle and couldn't get myself to the gate. I asked if they could come inside to get me. That's how I finally made it to the hospital. Some people give birth fast. Some take their time. Turns out I was one of the fast ones. Barely finished check-in before they rushed me to the delivery room. Everyone had their family with them, except me. I was totally on my own. I kept kicking myself for not having my mom come earlier. Mostly it was Oliver who stuck by me. I thought that having him was all I needed. I never saw any of this coming. My mom's already on her way. But I'm still really scared. My whole body aches like it's about to break apart, an unbearable kind of pain. I was the one who signed for the epidural. After all, in the end, I gave birth to that baby all by myself. Oliver stumbled into the ward. But the maternity nurse was already there. Everything set up and settled. His forehead was drenched in sweat. I tried to soothe him. Why are you freaking out? Your wife can handle this. He mumbled. Words stuck in his throat. Back then, I just thought he was freaked out because he saw the kid. Chapter 16. The woman next to me was already 7 days past her due date and still no sign of labor. When she first checked in, she was calm as can be, chatting and laughing like nothing was wrong. But once they started the induction shots, That smile completely disappeared. No matter how ready you think you are, it's always a mess, screaming, crying out to the heavens. Oliver looked terrified, pale as a ghost, muttering, "Babe, was your labor hell like this too?" By then, I'd bounced back quite a bit and told him about my experience with a small smile. When he heard what I'd been through, his face just drained even more. He looked totally shaken up. After a long pause, he sat down next to me, grabbed my hand, and said, "Honey, I'm so sorry for leaving you to deal with all this on your own. I was wrong." His expression was a mix of pain and regret. I tried to reassure him. "I'm not that fragile. You know, your career matters too. Now that the baby's here, money's not the point anymore." He hung his head in shame and kept apologizing, promising he'd make it right, that he'd never let me down again. My mom stayed with me for the 2 months after the baby was born, working alongside the maternity nurse to take great care of me and our son. Once the confinement period was over, the first thing I did was make Oliver stick to his word and buy a little apartment close to my place for my mom. After that, my mom watched the baby during the day and went home to rest at night, which made things way easier. I had a smooth recovery and felt on top of the world. I was seriously so happy back then, like my heart might burst. Even though I was dead tired from looking after the baby, life still felt like it was moving somewhere. One by one, my old coworkers stopped by to see the baby. When Susie showed up with a female coworker to visit, Oliver was stuck working late. At first, she was genuinely happy for me, smiling as she said, "Finally made it through this stage. Wasn't easy at all." My mom came in then and said, "I'm heading out to grab some groceries. What do you want?" I just answered without much thought. Susie, seeing no one else was around, looked me straight in the eye and said, "Sis, I've thought it over a lot, and I believe it's better you know about this. The sooner we spot the problem, the easier it is to deal with." I gave her a puzzled look, and then another coworker, Jane, pulled out her phone and showed me a video. At a flower shop, Oliver and Sarah stood side by side, facing off against a group, arguing fiercely, neither willing to back down. I couldn't quite make out what they were saying. Susie told me, "Sarah opened a flower shop, and it's still being renovated. Boss Oliver helps her out all the time. The flower shop's pretty close to Jane's place, and they think no one's the wiser. But actually, Jane walks by often and can see them inside." This video shows Sarah getting into a fight with the renovation crew, and Boss Oliver stepped in to smooth things over. "You know, that flower shop isn't far from your place either. Boss Oliver's really invested." Huh? I looked at the timestamp on the video and realized it was the exact day I gave birth. The moment I was struggling alone, trying to call 120. That exact moment, my brain just blew up all at once. My scalp tingled, and there was this sharp sting creeping up my cheek. My heart was pounding wildly, all mixed up in a chaotic rhythm, like it might burst right out of my chest. I took a slow, deep breath, trying hard to keep my cool. When I faced Susie, I told her I'd figure something out, but inside, I felt like I was stuck in a storm tossing me around, ready to capsize any second. It took all I had, but I finally managed to get them out the door. They hadn't even been here that long, but honestly, it felt like an eternity. I lay down, curling up into a little ball, like I was trying to shield myself from the world. I clenched my fists tight against my lips, trying not to let my teeth clatter. It took me a while to realize my whole body was shaking. As I slowly came back to myself, I felt like I couldn't catch my breath, my chest burning with bitterness and ache. Hatred swept over me, dragging a storm of disgust along with it. Chapter 17. I was trembling when I got out of bed and asked a friend to help me find a divorce lawyer. My mind was a total mess back then. I couldn't think about anything beyond the immediate pain. I told the divorce lawyer, "Before we officially go through with the divorce, I want to check out my husband's income. His salary card is in my hands, so how the hell is the other woman still getting a cut?" The only thing that made sense to me was that Sarah couldn't have been saving up much herself, so the renovation for her flower shop had to be paid by Oliver. The lawyer's investigation came back pretty fast. Turns out Oliver's year-end bonus was sitting in another bank account, $450,000 in total, handed directly to him by the chairman at the company's annual party. That's standard practice, so probably not something he was trying to hide on purpose. But by the time he gave it to me, there was only 400,000 left on that card. That part's absolutely true. And on top of that, his business trip allowance and stuff, all that money got funneled into his WeChat for convenience. Made it way too easy for him to hide some cash on the side. Just to keep Sarah going. The lawyer pulled his bank records and, sure enough, he'd been paying for Sarah's renovation the whole time. No denying it, clear as day. 70 grand total, rent for a whole year plus the renovation, and he just pulled the wool over everyone's eyes. I was drowning in this ridiculous, crushing feeling of disbelief. It was like life itself was having a laugh at my expense. I busted my ass trying to shove Sarah out of my life. But somehow, she just slipped right back in like it was nothing. It just made me look so sad, pathetic, and totally awkward. All my struggling was for nothing, no matter how smart I am. I just can't beat someone who's got it all planned. There was no way the lawyer's digging around could happen without people at the company catching wind. And somehow the news leaked. Right in the middle of the workday. Broad daylight. Oliver shows up all flustered and scared. I just sat there like a lifeless statue in that cafe near my place. Everything was shaking apart on my end. But I still had to keep it all locked tight from my mom. Sometimes when the bad feelings get so heavy I can barely hold myself together. I come to this cafe just to catch my breath. Oliver, he found me right here. He was gasping for breath. Eyes pleading as he sat down next to me. Reaching out to grab my hand. My hand was freezing cold. And I didn't fight back, just numb. Letting him hold on. It took me a while to come back to myself. Then I pulled my hand away. This guy had been with me through my teenage years and young adulthood. Stuck by me through poverty and all the crap life threw at us. I'd seen so many sides of him, but never him lying. Sure, maybe before he'd hidden some feelings, but outright lying like this? That was a first. I think I barely know him, just kinda sizing him up. No. I never really knew him at all. Now that I'm middle-aged, I guess it's time to figure him out all over again. He looked so ashamed and guilty. His voice all croaky. Carly. At this point, what's even left to say? Besides, am I someone who's easy to reason with? Pretty soon, I'm gonna show them exactly what kind of person I am. Oliver was pacing like a man on fire, his phone ringing off the hook, but he didn't have the guts to pick up. I could guess exactly who was calling. No sweat. Since we met at that coffee shop, it was the first time I actually spoke to him. Go on. Pick up. Maybe there's a surprise waiting. He still didn't answer, just kept his head down. I shot back. Not picking up the phone, what's that about? Feeling guilty or what? He quickly picked up and put it on speaker. Sure enough, Sarah's panicked voice came through, with some quiet sobbing in the background. Oliver, it's bad. A bunch of people just showed up out of nowhere and straight up trashed my renovation. I called the cops. They brought a pile of papers, there were bank transfer records and all that. After checking, the cops contacted the landlord and asked if I'd actually paid for the renovation. I told them a friend helped cover it. The cops said that made sense. Now the friend doesn't want to help anymore. So they just wrecked it. Looks like I'm the one who's gotta handle this with them. I heard her panicked voice over the phone and just couldn't hold it in. I burst out laughing. Couldn't help it. On the other end, the moment she heard my voice, she flipped out. It was her, right? She did this, didn't she? Oliver's face went bright purple, fists clenched tight, brows locked in a deep frown. After a long pause, he turned to me and asked, Carly, did it really have to come to this? I actually relaxed my face a bit, flashing a sarcastic smile. That's the question I should be asking you. Why lie? Why feel the need to cover for her, and then act like you're totally innocent? Is it really that damn hard to just live a decent life? Then I gripped my teeth and gave his cheek a little pinch, smirking with this half-mocking grin. Do you know it's crazy dangerous to stick your hand out the window grabbing wildflowers when the car's moving? Chapter 18. He suddenly jumped up, his whole body tense, breathing all off. But in the end, he just sank back down, totally wiped out. The call was still going, and Sarah was screaming like a lunatic on the other end. Carly, why can't you just let me be? What? Did I dig up your ancestors' grave or something? By now, way calmer than those wild emotions back then, I said, if you get involved with a married man, you really should have known this is exactly where you'd end up. Look, I'm someone with a soft heart. I didn't send anyone to beat you up or yell at you. And I didn't make a scene. I just took back what's mine. That's all. And you're still not happy? What more do you want? Do you want me to come over and help you with the renovation or something? I paused for a sec, then went on. Oliver didn't have much to start with. And it's only now that things at home are starting to ease up a bit. You're young. You've got what it takes. No need to waste your youth on a guy like him. Go find someone rich. With your skills. You're not meant to end up like this. She kept on yelling, but I cut her off mid-rant. Because honestly, I just don't get what Oliver sees in her. Don't try to fake it with me. I've been to your school, talked to a bunch of people, and I know exactly what kind of person you are. Guys who've never seen much get totally played by you. But not me. Anyway, a guy that clueless only has so much to offer. You'd be better off reaching higher. Like the saying goes, sometimes choosing wisely beats trying hard. All I got back were nothing but curses and yelling. No real words. I shot Oliver a look and said, so this is your type? No brain. Always leaning on you. Childish. And acting all spoiled. You should have said that sooner. Holding back what you really want inside, that's a rough thing to do. He covered his face with his hands, took a deep breath, and fell silent. I put on a show for him, pretending to sigh. Fate is indescribably strange. Looks like you two are inseparable. Can't be torn apart. In that case, I won't be the villain who breaks up a couple. I'll let you have your way. You better not be ungrateful. The young girl doesn't want your money or status. She just wants to be with you. Treat her well. Hurry up and get a divorce. And live a good life with her. I stood up to leave, but he grabbed my hand. Lying was definitely my mistake. I only wanted to help. She said she'd pay it back. Divorce? No way. I never cheated, not even close. I'm innocent. He looked me straight in the eye, all sincere and heartbroken. As long as we don't get divorced, you can do whatever you want. I suddenly bent down, getting close to his face, and saw his eyes were still clear as ever. That's when it hit me, he just had these loving eyes. Even when he's lying, those eyes look so honest. For years, those same eyes have been the ones fooling me. I couldn't help but smirk. I remember you saying the exact same thing last time. Then I teased him. Your little sweetheart got hurt. If you're not gonna comfort her properly, what's the point of hanging around here? He looked me straight in the eye, trying to sound honest. You and son, you're the only ones I truly care about. Sarah, she's just a friend, an outsider. I gave her a little something through the cracks, but we agreed I'd get it back. What do I have to do for you to believe me? I just shook my head, helpless. No matter what you do, I just can't trust you anymore. Whatever you two have, it's not breaking or going away. I'm done. From now on, you're free to do whatever you want. I wish I'd been able to give up sooner, wasting all those years with him, and even having a kid. Love isn't about winning or losing. It's just the difference between being chosen and being left behind. Owning up to being the one who's not loved, how hard can that really be? It's the total meltdown in real life that's the scary part. I was wiped out, barely steady on my feet. Oliver was right behind me, hanging on my every step. When I got home, I still hadn't figured out how to break it to my mom. For now, I just had to swallow that bitter taste. Chapter 19. I was wiped out, all out of it, and my mom's eyes were full of worry for me. I just didn't have the energy to deal with it all. Finally found some time, grabbed the kid's birth certificate, and went to the police station to get him registered. The kids got my last name, and I just came up with the name on a whim, Atlas. A few days ago, I was flipping through some videos aimlessly, and one line hit me right in the gut. Mountains high, roads long. If you can't find the answers out there, you gotta look inside. Turn all those places you dream about into roads you've actually walked. That's why I named my son Atlas. Oliver had picked out a name for the kid, but I never went with it. By the time I got home, it was already pretty late. Oliver went out for some errands and didn't stop by the office, headed straight home. We just happened to cross paths like that. I was putting the kid's birth papers and household register away, and he caught on right away. He grabbed the household register, saw the name, and literally sucked in a breath. His lips trembled, his hands were shaking, and he looked like he was about to fall apart. How the hell did you come up with this name? Carly, you're really cruel. I had this faint, cold smile on my face and sneered. I was the one giving birth here. Why the hell should you have any say in the name? I'll call them whatever I want. His face went ghostly pale, staring at me like he couldn't believe it. His lips started trembling again, like he wanted to say something but just couldn't get the words out. I grabbed the household registration booklet from his hand and tucked it away carefully. He closed his eyes for a beat, then opened them with a sharp, painful look and said, "Back home, my family still uses the original name. Please. I'm begging you." I just kept packing like I didn't care, didn't even bother to answer him. He just stood there, frozen, for what felt like forever, not moving a muscle. The baby, barely 4 months old, needs to nurse twice during the night. At night, it was pretty much all on me. I was breastfeeding, so I couldn't split my focus. My mom would leave at night to rest and come back during the day. That night, my mom wouldn't leave, she wasn't comfortable with me alone. So she found some excuse to stay. When I was feeding the baby his second night bottle, Oliver came over to help. Tomorrow's a day off, so that's pretty much how he always rolls. Really, it's more about just having someone there, showing a little care. Usually, I'd throw a few jokes his way, and that restless, sleepless tension would just melt away. But for some reason this time, right after feeding the baby, I suddenly felt this surge of frustration and, out of nowhere, slapped Oliver. Oliver stood there, totally frozen, not knowing what hit him. I kept a deadpan face, grabbed the baby to burp him, and didn't say a single word. I turned to look at the door, and there stood my mom, just staring silently for who knows how long. She was clutching her chest, her face full of pain. I hurriedly asked, "Mom, are you okay?" She shook her head, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't hide the pain on her face. Oliver suddenly piped up, "Mom, you don't look good. Let me drive you to the hospital." Mom just waved him off, saying it wasn't necessary, and turned to leave. Oliver ran after her, insisting she should go, and I stood firm on it too. Chapter 20. Later that night, Oliver drove Mom to the hospital. The doctor said it wasn't urgent, but the situation didn't look simple either. I went through test after test, and in the end, it was cancer. The day I got that diagnosis, I completely lost my mind. I didn't have the guts to go back into the clinic, I just ran out alone. My mom had just come to be by my side, and I still hadn't given her any kind of good life. She'd sacrificed so much back home in that terrible place, just to light the way for me. And what have I really done? I was too busy battling the other woman and simmering with Oliver, wrapped up in registering our child's household record and getting my petty revenge on my husband. But hurting them was also tearing me apart from the inside. The only one I just completely overlooked was Mom, her figure getting thinner by the day, that healthy color long gone from her face. By the time I stepped into the ward, my mind had settled down quite a bit. Mom was propped up against the headboard, casually chatting with the lady in the next bed, looking surprisingly at ease. When she saw me, she quickly motioned for me to sit down. My daughter just had a baby and is still nursing. I've only been a burden to her. I felt tears welling up but held them back. Just then, the nurse walked in, calling the lady next door off for her checkup. Once she left, the ward was empty, and my mom suddenly went quiet, her face softening. "Carly, do you think I don't have much time left?" I hadn't figured out how to answer when she blurted it out. I just froze. Didn't know what to say. She must have already guessed. She just smiled, this calm, open smile, and gently ran her hand through my hair. "I've done enough in my life, the time I was born into. My fate, it all shaped me to be this way. But you're different. You've still got your whole life ahead. I saw you bought that CPA book. Planning to get back into your career? This is actually a good thing. Mom's been asking around, and this certificate is really something. Once you get it, everything's gonna change." She paused. Her face shifted. Then she changed the subject, teeth clenched, saying, "Oliver's been up to no good, hasn't he? You're keeping it all in, not telling me. But trust me, I can tell. No use trying to hide it from me." Mom. My eyes blurred with tears. I wanted to comfort her, but I was fighting hard not to break down. Mom's usually so gentle, but right now, Her face was full of bitterness and coldness. Don't count on him anymore. You've got to stand up for yourself now. I know my own daughter. I trust you'll take good care of yourself. Right now. The only unpredictable thing is me. Here's how I see it. Just keep plugging away at your online classes. Give it everything you've got. The tougher the certificate, the more it's worth, right? So go all out. 5 subjects in 5 years. If I remember right, for the next few years. Let Oliver support you. Let him handle the mortgage and hire a nanny to watch over the little one. Even though I'm sick, I'm not totally useless. I'll keep an eye on the nanny for you. You just focus on studying, all right? I suddenly couldn't hold back anymore. I just collapsed beside her bed and broke down crying. I did something stupid. I shouldn't have married Oliver. And I shouldn't have had kids. I feel like I've let my mom down. And even worse, I've let myself down. I wasted my life. My mom gently ran her hand over my head and said, "From now on, wherever you go, Xiao Bao, you have to bring your kid along. Don't be like those cold moms who just vanish and leave their children to fend for themselves. First and foremost, you have to be able to look yourself in the eye. Only then can you live with some peace of mind." I just nodded, too drained to argue. Chapter 21. After my mom's surgery, she stayed at my place to recover. She rented out the little apartment and stashed away the rent money. I saw right through her. I just shut myself off from the world and dove headfirst into studying, not caring about a thing. The day I got that certificate, that was the day I finally said, enough, and filed for divorce. And Oliver? He can do whatever the hell he wants, as long as he doesn't miss paying a single cent. I'm done meddling. Sarah. Same deal. I couldn't bother with her anymore. Wrestling with people like her? Honestly, it's the biggest shame I've ever carried. My mom just smiled and told me, a girl's youth doesn't last forever. If she wastes more time, she'll end up even more stuck. Just hang on a little longer. Wear her down, she'll break eventually. I didn't say a word. Honestly, I don't give a damn anymore. Those 2 cheaters deserve to be tied together and left to rot. The only person I hate is myself. Why did I even bother getting married and having a kid? I swallowed my disgust and forced a smile, all just so I could carve out a decent space to study. But sometimes, when I see Oliver peacefully enjoying the quiet I've had to endure, I can't stop tearing myself up inside. Why the hell does he get to live so well? So, when my son first started talking, I didn't teach him to say dad. I taught him some other words instead. My son doesn't talk much, but when he does, his words are clear as day. That day, Oliver was playing with our son, asking him whether he wanted to listen to a story or build blocks. Out of nowhere, the kid blurted out a few words, hitting the other woman. Cheating husband. Rotten cucumber. Oliver's face went pale. He stared at our son like he couldn't believe it, then turned his eyes on me. I just gave a cold, mocking smile. Then I said lightly, "You'd better rein it in, at least don't stash secret cash. Because when the kid's old enough, I'll make sure to tell him exactly what you're really like." He muttered, "What's there to explain? Haven't I already laid it all out?" I shot back, "You're just fooling yourself. You really think those people at your company don't see what you're all about? Who exactly are you trying to fool?" He got this mix of anger and embarrassment. I pushed him harder. "If you're feeling so wronged, why not just go ahead and do all those things you've been itching to but never dared? At least then you wouldn't be cheating yourself. Must suck every time I shut you down." Huh? He just stared at me, face pale as a sheet. "Carly, are we really done for this time?" I sneered but kept quiet. Done for? And he still has the nerve to want to go back? After everything filthy he's done, and with us on the verge of splitting, he's still caught up in this ridiculous daydream. 3 years flew by in a flash. And all my hard work wasn't for nothing. In that last year, I only had 2 exams left, and once I passed both, I'd finally be free. Over those 3 years, Oliver and I barely spoke. He was basically just a paycheck delivery guy. You could see he was busting his ass, trying to make more money so I could live better. His guilt was obvious. He'd go out of his way to butter me up in front of others. But honestly, it all felt so fake, like I just chose to ignore him completely. Things warmed up a bit here and there. Maybe a few words or a half-hearted care gesture, but it was all pretty much just for show. In the end, he's the one covering the mortgage and raising our son. Honestly, He's even been a stepping stone for me along the way. The hardest part is that during the holidays, I just don't have it in me to be with him, let alone share those warm family moments. At times like these, my mom and the kid kind of act like a buffer between us. Even though I keep my distance, there's still a pretty strong sense of family around. So when the separation is coming, Oliver doesn't really have a clue. But then my mom's health took a sudden nosedive, and she ended up back in the hospital. I was totally freaking out. Right then, Oliver really came through, running all over the place, pulling strings to get the best doctor he could find. It got to the point where, when Mom was barely conscious, her mind slipped back and she actually confused him with the Oliver from years ago. Chapter 22. Back then, Oliver was the golden son-in-law in her eyes. That's why Mom clung to him so much for a while. The day we had to say goodbye finally arrived. The doctor said Mom was close to the end and told me, if I had anything to say it now, don't wait. But all Mom did was stubbornly stare at the door, murmuring, Oliver. Mom's exhausted and heartbroken. When are you going to come see me? I went through my old contacts, calling each of my former coworkers, telling them my mom was dying and I wanted to see Oliver. They said Oliver was away on a business trip, probably stuck on a plane, so I couldn't get through to him. Then they threw me into the company group chat and told me to hang tight if anyone got hold of Oliver. I'd be the first to know. Everyone in that group already knew what I was going through. My close ex-colleagues were really worried about me. Time was slipping away, tick by tick. Oliver's plane had landed, but his phone stayed off. My mom passed, and she didn't even close her eyes when it happened. And her so-called perfect son-in-law didn't show up either. With a heavy heart, I packed up her stuff. But strangely, I felt oddly calm. Next up, cremation and the funeral. I want to make sure she goes out with some dignity. I can't afford to fall apart. She only had me back then. I used to only have her to lean on. Now, I've got no one to rely on but myself. No one in the old work group chat knows what I'm going through. Every now and then, someone still asks if anyone's heard from Oliver. Out of nowhere, my phone buzzed, and without thinking, I picked up. Susie had sent me a video. At a fancy restaurant, Sarah was crying her heart out. Oliver should have been sitting across from her, but instead, he was standing right beside her, softly rubbing her back, whispering something, his face gentle, his eyes full of concern. I just nodded, gritting my teeth as I said okay. No matter what my mom said, she'd been looking after his kid for more than 4 years, and yet this is how it all ended up. I told Susie to send me the restaurant's location. Susie said to hang on a sec. She was reaching out to a colleague who was filming the video. The location came through fast, and I grabbed my mother's photo and hurried over. As I got out of the cab and made my way toward the restaurant's front door, I caught sight of Oliver and Sarah through the big glass window. They were so locked into their conversation, I saw them. But they didn't even notice me. I walked into the restaurant and spotted them right away. By then, Oliver was already sitting right across from Sarah. The moment he saw me, panic hit him hard. Carly, it's not what you think. Just let me explain. He stammered. He was freaked out but didn't show an ounce of guilt. He talked like he owned the truth. Honestly, I couldn't have cared less about what was true or not. In my eyes, he was dead already. I was there to get justice for my mom. I grabbed his hand to keep him from jumping up, then pulled out a black plastic bag I'd brought, took out my mom's photo, held it tight to my chest, and stared right at the two of them. Oliver and Sarah just stood there, frozen, staring at me like they couldn't believe what they were seeing. They didn't know what to make of it for a moment. Totally stunned, I gave Oliver a cold, contemptuous look and said quietly, Mom wanted to see you one last time before she died. She never got that chance, so I brought her here, to finally give her that peace. Oliver tried to get up, but he pushed the chair so hard it toppled over onto the floor. He barely kept his balance, his feet slipped and he almost went down. He grabbed the edge of the table with both hands just to steady himself. He stammered, What did you say? Mom, what happened to her? People dining nearby started catching on something was wrong, and before long, someone let out a scream. I peeked out the window, and my colleague filming gave me a nod. The job was done. I calmly folded up my mom's portrait and just walked away. Oliver suddenly snapped to attention like he'd come back from the dead, shouting, Carly. I didn't even look at him. Just kept walking. All I felt was sorry, such a nice place. And we'd gone and upset everyone. As I stepped outside, Oliver caught up to me and grabbed hold. His eyes were bloodshot, hair all messed up, face full of panic. Carly. Mom. She. I gave a bitter laugh. She didn't wait for you. Everybody at work knows, except you. Tears just poured down his cheeks as he muttered, "What kind of crap have I gotten myself into?" Then, like he was trying to convince himself, right before I got on the plane, Sarah called me. Her boyfriend ripped her off, cheated on her, and she was so broken she wanted to end it all. I promised I'd be there fast. And yet, this is how it ends. I flagged down a cab. Done with his excuses, he's thrown so many at me before. All with that same slick confidence. I just don't have the energy to sort out what's real anymore. Chapter 23. I tucked away the video my old colleague made for me, keeping it ready for when divorce finally comes. I was like a volcano, calm on the outside, but lava bubbling furiously deep beneath the surface. I handled my mom's funeral stuff all on my own, just waiting for those CPA exam results to come in. The house was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. You could feel the storm coming, tension thick enough to cut through. My son was already 4.5. Off at kindergarten. I felt way more at ease, like a weight had lifted. Oliver tried a few times to have a talk, and I humored him. For now, I'm still under the same roof with him, no stopping him from saying whatever he wants. He tried explaining to me several times, and since I didn't pry or lash out, he said I just listened without a single response. That spark in his eyes just died out all of a sudden. 3 years down the line, he got another promotion. Li Xingqian got sent overseas and basically became a big shot in his own territory. He stepped into Li Xingqian's shoes as sales director and also vice general manager, often out socializing with the chairman. Young and full of promise, you could say. He walked around like he owned the place. But around me, it was like he was carrying some heavy guilt. Always keeping his head down, he kept saying, Sarah's boyfriend was someone a friend introduced to me. I didn't expect him to be such a mess. I guess I have to take some of the blame. That day I was in such a rush, just wanting to get her out of there quick so I could finally head home. I was so caught up I even forgot to turn my phone on. I really didn't see our mom leaving at that time coming. I honestly didn't. Carly, if you need to blame me or let it all out, go ahead, but this family can't just fall apart. He begged me, all pitiful and desperate. I couldn't hold it in anymore and said, with a half smile, you seriously keep messing up and trying to fix it, then messing up again, like you've been through 1,000 beatings. Then I wiped the smile off my face, looked him dead in the eye, and said, why should my life have to get wasted on all this crap? Then I sneered at him, cut it out, won't you? Your mouth's so dry you're practically spitting all over my face. His face slowly went pale. He didn't have a word left to say. The results from my 2 exams finally came back, and I passed. I felt a small relief wash over me. I took the certificate and went to my mother's grave. That heavy certificate, it might finally bring her some peace. I felt genuinely satisfied. Tears welled up and slid down my cheeks. Too bad she never got to see any of this. Chapter 24. I haven't brought up divorce yet. Why rush it? We haven't had sex in years. He's like a ghost in the house. The housekeeper does all the chores, and I have 0 responsibilities weighing on me. Honestly, I'm in a pretty comfortable spot right now. I've got this golden certificate, but no real experience, so I still have to start from scratch. Might as well spend my newbie days right here in this city. That way it's better for the kids, and I don't have to kill myself working. Another year. Then I'm heading for a big city. My job has tons of business trips, so it's a good excuse to scope out which city suits me best. Life goes on, kind of bland and safe. Not too hot, not too cold. Though, you can't avoid the little bumps along the way. Sarah was freaking out. She wanted to meet up. All right, I'll bring a voice recorder if she's handing me evidence on a silver platter. Maybe this divorce will be easier. Why not make use of it? Sarah was definitely dressed up to the nines, no longer the plain, innocent girl I used to picture. The one who hadn't seen the world yet. She'd gotten way tackier. Fake lashes, heavy eyeshadow, bright red lips, and nails that sparkled like crazy. I suddenly laughed. And I have to admit, Losing to someone like her, I'm totally okay with it. No matter what she turns into. Oliver likes her. She used to be silly and shallow. Now she's loud and gaudy. I can't help but respect how fate just clamps down on you like that. When she saw me laughing, she snapped. What's so funny? All bark, no bite. Back when we worked together, she'd see me and take off like a mouse spotting a cat. Thinking about all the ridiculous stuff she did back then just made me laugh even harder. She probably thought of it too, because her whole face went beet red, all embarrassed and pissed off. After a long pause, she finally remembered why she was here and, biting back her anger, said, "Look, I was young and dumb back then, caught up in your game, so, do you admit it or not? Posting about your secret affair in the work group chat, and the stuff on the big screen at the wedding was all that you're doing, just to get rid of me?" I saw her gripping her purse tight, pretty sure she was there to record me as well. As for me, yeah, I can admit it at this point. Who even wants to go head to head with her? I'm just too ashamed for that. She says she was young and clueless. But honestly, I still despise how stupid I was back then. Making a mistake I can't take back. Chapter 25. If I had the chance to do it all over, there's no way I'd marry Oliver. Getting into a fight over some fool for a man, that's a stain on my life I'll never be able to scrub out. But I can't admit to what she's accusing me of. Susie and the rest of the crew backed me up. I'm not about to drag them down with me. So I dodged the bullet with, "The cameras caught you sneaking around in my wedding dress. And you even had the nerve to ask my husband if he liked you. How can you sit there bringing up such disgusting crap again? Don't you have any sense of decency?" She was both embarrassed and furious, her face flushing bright red. Yeah, I finally get what's so magnetic about her, that little girl act. The childish vibe she just can't shake. Completely different from me. No doubt about it. After a long pause, she pulled herself together and threw out one heavy punch. Fine. Okay. Even if that's true, even if I sneaked into your wedding dress, even if I flashed those photos up on the big screen at your wedding, so what? Oliver still just let it slide and forgave me, right? I nodded. Yeah, she nailed it right there. When she saw I wasn't fazed, she didn't fly off the handle. Instead, she got all worked up, almost desperate. Her cheeks flushed. Her voice got louder. "Do you even know what real love is?" I studied her carefully. After all these years, she must have picked up something about the three of us. She probably wouldn't just throw out some shallow line like only the unloved ends up as the other woman. She's gotta have her own take on it. Some real understanding. I listened up, waiting. She grinned, looking so smug, said it was something a smart big shot once said, and I better pay attention. Have you ever really been loved? Sex isn't love. Hugs aren't love. Responsibility isn't love. Staying up all night chatting isn't love. Love is when someone sees you at your worst and still sticks around. Love is when someone holds your hand while you're bawling your eyes out, just to help you settle down. Love is when someone points out all your good stuff even when you only see the bad. I stared at her for a moment, then gave a soft clap. You're totally right, I said, admitting it without hesitation. She looked a bit surprised. I guess she didn't expect me to own up to it so openly. His mouth was hanging open, and no matter what, it just wouldn't shut. I switched things up and said, "So seriously, can you even handle being a secretary now? Just be straight with me." She froze on the spot. What do you mean by that? I sneered. Have you made any progress after all these years? Wasting your best moments on some guy, proud of that? Sure, real love's out there, but it changes in a flash. Who hasn't been loved? Today it's you, tomorrow it's her. What's there to be proud of? I didn't hold back. Oliver and I, we're both pushing 31, 32. And you? You're what? Around 27, 28? Not exactly spring chickens anymore. You've got no edge even on blind dates, let alone with your lousy job skills and how hard it is for you to find work. Who the hell's gonna want you? Who's gonna love you forever? Who's gonna have your back for life? I shot back coldly. Oliver. Huh? I swear, as long as I don't get divorced, he could drag you down for life, believe it or not. So what if he's always there when you call? How long do you think he'll really stick around? Most of the time, it's still just you, alone, lonely, cold. Is he gonna hand you money? With what I'm capable of. What do you think you're actually gonna gain? I laughed bitterly. After all these years, you still got nothing to show for it. I pulled out my CPA certificate, along with the deed to the house, loan fully paid off, and my bank book. Fanned them out like a hand and waved them right in front of her face. I'm finally on solid ground. True love? That's not some prize you own. I walk out of here today. Maybe just around the corner I'll find it. So what's there to be smug about? I laughed bitterly. You've still got a kid. She snapped, clearly rattled. I shot back coldly. Someone like you still finds love, so what if I've got a kid? She ran out of sharp words, completely tongue-tied. The second I laid all my cards on the table, her cockiness just deflated. I couldn't be bothered to argue with her anymore. She lost. But honestly, I didn't exactly come out on top either. Back then, I stooped to some pretty nasty tricks just to get rid of her, and I've regretted it ever since. Turns out, a good marriage can make you, while a bad one can break you. Thankfully, after weighing what I still had in my hands, I wasn't totally wiped out. Chapter 26. I decided to talk to Oliver first. No big deal. Really, I landed a new job and I'm heading out on a business trip. The kid's going to be with him. I put together a spreadsheet with everything about our son and sent it to his email. When my mom passed away, he wasn't there. And from that moment on, we stopped talking. If we had something to say, it was always through email or WeChat. This time, I did it on purpose. I've already talked to a divorce lawyer, and all this stuff is solid proof that I've been the one taking care of our kid. He's gotten used to chatting with me on WeChat, so whenever he had questions about the spreadsheet, he'd ask me there, and I'd clear things up. That way, I've left a solid trail of evidence. That's a huge plus for me in the custody fight. I wanted to meet him face to face, just to make sure I was hearing it right one last time. Over the years, he's gotten really good at hiding his feelings. But today, I caught a glimpse of genuine excitement peek through. I was clutching the printed form, checking off each item one by one, making sure there wasn't anything left hanging. He told me, sounding almost sorry, "You've really lost a lot of weight." I replied in the driest voice. My mom died. I've been eating nothing but vegetarian food for 6 months. Praying for her soul, lost 20 pounds doing it. His face tightened for a second. Then he quickly masked it like nothing was wrong. That day, when I put my mom's portrait in front of him and Sarah, the panic on his face was something I'd never seen before. Later, when I was sorting out my mom's funeral, I kept him at arm's length, but he wouldn't back down, insisting on helping and butting into anything he could get near. To drive him off, I threw out some harsh words. My mom actually knew you were cheating all along. In her last days, her memory was all over the place, and she thought you were still her good son-in-law, so she kept hoping you'd show up. While you were wrapped up with Sarah, all lovey-dovey, her eyes never left that hospital door. Since you couldn't be there for her then, you don't have to show up in her life ever again. You have no idea how desperate I felt inside. I wanted you to come back the next second so badly. But you never did. If you had just granted her last wish, I would have been willing to let go of all the past grudges. But you didn't. His eyes were heavy with sorrow, his face a mess of panic, tears just about ready to fall but holding back. I didn't. I just happened to swing by to see Sarah. We barely even talked usually. I couldn't help but scoff. You sure know how to spin a story. There's no way all those coincidences just happened by chance. There's always a reason beneath it all. My heart was breaking more than I could bear, and I'd hit my absolute limit with Oliver. I grabbed my phone and fired off a message in their company group. Oliver, I heard you're on bereavement leave. Totally unnecessary. You don't have to handle the funeral stuff. Don't use that as an excuse to duck out of work. Since you won't even come back to see your mother-in-law one last time, don't bother playing the dutiful son anymore. After I sent that, I handed the phone to Oliver. Right then, his eyes were bloodshot, and he looked totally crushed. He read my message in the big group chat. His face went pale. He dropped his head, turned away, and said nothing. I kept on threatening him. Go take a hike somewhere. Don't get in my way. If you even think about coming near me again, I'll post the video of you cozying up to Sarah that day in your work group chat. I smirked. By then, you'll be swimming in your own spit. He looked so dark and shut down, swallowed his grief, and never showed himself to me again. Now here we are, sitting at the same table, talking nice and easy about the kids. He should be happy, he looks totally relaxed. Maybe I'll give him one last jab. I'm officially telling you today, we're divorcing. You probably already know that deep down, marriages like ours, spent mostly locked in silent treatment, are better off ended sooner than later. The smile froze right off his face, his lips trembling. What did you just say? I frowned, starting to lose my patience. What? You didn't see this coming? After all these years of cheating, didn't it ever cross your mind? What's the point of pretending? He looked panicked and hurt. What cheating? I never cheated. Stop making things up. How could I ever like her? I closed my eyes, trying to steady myself. Sometimes love is this grand, all-consuming thing, and other times, it's just some secret little itch. No need to fake it. And honestly, whether you love her or not, I don't care. The truth is, all these years, watching you two mess each other up, dragged into a never-ending fight, it's just worn me down. Let's just give each other a break, all right? I don't care what's going on between you and her. I'm just unhappy, so I want a divorce, that's all there is to it. No strings attached. When I finished, I stood up and said, I've wasted enough time already. I still need to sort through my papers and pack my bags. That's enough for today. He looked totally lost and panicked while I just turned around and walked out. Chapter 27. Our son came home from kindergarten and saw me packing my suitcase. I could tell he kind of got it. I'd taken him on trips before, so maybe he understood a little. He didn't look too pleased. His face went from bright to dark. Mom, are you taking a plane? I just mm'd softly, still busy with my hands. He looked so down, almost about to cry. So, when exactly are you coming back? I glanced up and gave his little cheek a gentle squeeze. Pretty soon. His voice was already shaky. Pretty soon. How many days is that? Before I could say anything, he just broke down crying. The housekeeper came rushing out from the kitchen. Oliver popped out from the study, and both of them helped me calm him down. At dinner, my son sat on my lap, letting me feed him. He's a sharp kid. Getting dressed, feeding himself, stuff like that never made me worry. It just naturally happened. Today he made a point of having me feed him, really just being clingy. A little separation anxiety showing. The next day was the weekend. When I left, he stood by the door, eyes red even though he'd promised not to cry. He tried to pull me back, but Oliver yanked him away. And right after that, he broke down in a gut-wrenching sob. Oliver did everything he could to soothe him, then gave me a look, the kind that says, go on, leave. I gave him a long, meaningful look back, the kind full of unspoken words. I think he got it. Today was just a short goodbye, but tomorrow marks a long, painful separation between him and our son. It's no different from saying goodbye forever. He stopped soothing the kid without meaning to, a dark cloud of worry hanging over his brow. Waiting for my flight at the airport, Oliver texted me, Atlas is doing a lot better. Kids are tough to handle, you've been through hell all these years. Got it, I replied. A little later, he sent another message, everything between us is just a big misunderstanding. A chain of unfortunate accidents that made everything look like chaos. But honestly, nothing serious really happened. Don't mention divorce again. A family sticking together, no matter what, beats everything else. No, I'm serious about the divorce. I'm giving you time to wrap your head around it, not a chance to fix things. He kept typing for ages and then finally said, does it really have to end in divorce? What's so great about that? If you want to get back at me, there are plenty of ways. I'm game for any of them. When we're old and you just leave me lying in bed, ignoring me, isn't that the best revenge? I couldn't help but laugh. Guess he's been watching too many crime stories or something. I shot back. Actually, I want to ask, do you absolutely have to see Sarah like that? Was I the one who caused all those misunderstandings and accidents you keep talking about? So, am I the one who ruined this whole marriage? It's like you get drunk, puke all over the bed, then tell me, it's fine, it's not dirty, just go to sleep. Like, how the hell am I supposed to fall asleep? After a long silence, he asked again, are you for real? The kid's with him now, and I didn't want to stir things up anymore. so I just stayed quiet. Chapter 28. The new job looks good, solid pay, awesome benefits, and job security. Plus, as you get older, you actually start to build real value. But auditing means sitting at your desk for ages, completely draining your energy. It's seriously tough. But just thinking about how this kind of thing could really help me when it comes to fighting for custody of the kid, I have to admit, it's a bit comforting. By the time I got back to the hotel to rest, Oliver had already bombarded me with tons of messages. Most of them were full of him whining about how unfair it all was. I couldn't be bothered to deal with it. I mean, they weren't exactly caught in the act, right? If I wanted to set them up, that wouldn't be outside the realm of possibility. It'd all fall into place perfectly on its own. Only thing is, it ends up giving the other woman an unearned advantage. That part really grates on me, and I'm not happy about it. I didn't reply. After a bit, he sent me a whole long message, and honestly, I found it kind of intriguing. He said this exactly: "You know me. I've got a mom who's insanely controlling, and a drunk dad who never cared about anything. From the moment I could understand anything, I had to be gentle with my mom. She really had it rough, so I never even had the chance to push back. I barely had what you'd call a childhood. No real teenager phase. And I never once acted out or rebelled. But that rebellious fire inside me? It never died out. If anything, it got louder with every year. There's a saying that really hits home. Trauma doesn't just disappear, it just comes back in a different form. I know you're not cool with me spending time with Sarah. And it's not like I'm head over heels for her or anything. I just crave freedom. I want to be close to whoever I damn well please, and help whoever I want to help. Even if it's someone close like you. Don't you dare try to put me on a leash. And don't even think about trying to control me with your so-called morals. Yeah, I'm a difficult person, maybe a little messed up, but my love for you? That's the one thing that never changed." I told him, "Got it, I get it. But forgiveness? Not happening, and I don't want to live like this with you anymore." After that, radio silence. Funny thing is, I actually wanted to talk more. I told him, "Sarah reached out to me once. But relax, no crazy drama or fights broke out. She once said something pretty interesting. True love is when you've seen someone at their lowest, and you still want to love them anyway." So, I started a new job and met some new coworkers. There was this young girl who just showed up not long ago, and the boss totally fell for her right away. I saw it all, and honestly, it hit me hard. Turns out, being loved is just that simple. Turns out, being spoiled and favored feels so damn good. Loving someone, it's supposed to make you happy, not have you walking around all glum, tearing yourself apart from the inside. Hating someone, damn, it's exhausting. I probably gave up on you ages ago. I just didn't even know it myself. Sarah's so damn clueless. Yet she got your attention. Even your love doesn't make any sense. Love never does. Maybe you haven't even realized it. Why not take a step back and really think, are you guys even happy together? Oliver messaged me back, "No way. My wife can only be you. That's the only way I'm happy." I shot back without holding back, "But you're always making me miserable. And I just don't get it. I'm done talking. Whether it's logic or feelings, we're both stuck. Let's just talk when we get home." Chapter 29. I told Susie about the divorce. We talked a lot about how I was set on it and what I planned to do next. My old boss, Li Jingqian, got in touch with me, and we set up a time to grab a bite and catch up. He was still that sly old fox. Same as ever. When he saw me, he flashed a grin and said, "Congrats. You're officially part of the Golden Collar Club now." Can't say the same for us. Just sinking further down. Still being polite to me. Huh. I shot back, hitting the tone just right. He didn't waste time getting to the point. The overseas branch is shrinking, and my paycheck isn't what it used to be. I thought about Oliver's salary, and comparing the two, it hit me. Li Xingqian's probably eyeing a move back to headquarters as sales director, but Oliver's holding that spot tight. I flashed a perfectly timed smile and said, "What can I do for you?" He half joked, half serious. "Think you can take care of Oliver for me?" I smirked, feeling a bit sly. Looks like the boss really trusts me. He smiled, eyes sharp. "I get your style. It's about whether you're willing to go for it. If not, Oliver doesn't stand a chance. He wasn't wrong. I definitely had it in me. I'm about to dive into a real divorce. No turning back now. The custody fight's going to be brutal. I've got to make sure Oliver looks like a total mess. I sighed. You really did find the right person. But there's one thing you'll need to handle personally. Oh, what is it? Back then, Sarah's transcript when she joined was definitely forged. If HR just changed the scores directly, it would be too easy to get caught. I figured Oliver probably got a few of the sharper members from their team to piece together the exam questions used at their previous company. By combining their memories, a lot of our company's question bank could be exposed. If you can find these people and make them confess to this, Oliver is bound to be brought down. All right, leave the rest to me. Chapter 30. Oliver got hauled into an investigation by the company pretty fast. And honestly, he was a complete wreck. It was confirmed that he helped Sarah cheat on the job exam, and suddenly his spot as sales director was on shaky ground. My old company stayed in touch all along and didn't waste any time bringing me back on board. When my mom passed, some of my old coworkers kindly rallied everyone in a big group chat to help track down Oliver, and a bunch of people joined in. But none of them really knew how things actually turned out. When I went to talk with HR this time, I made sure to lay everything out. When my mom was dying, Oliver promised he'd get back ASAP. But after his plane landed, he went straight to see Sarah instead. The video of their meeting oozed with all kinds of shady vibes. And in the end, my poor mom took her last breath without ever seeing her son-in-law again. Even the HR manager, who's seen it all and knows the workplace inside out, was seriously pissed off. In the end, Oliver got pulled from his sales director post and was shuffled off to a backwater branch as a manager, with his pay taking a hard hit. These days, he doesn't even make as much as I do, and his job's way less secure than mine. There's no way he'll win when it comes to fighting for custody of our son and the divorce. Chapter 31. Oliver's been doing pretty well these years, and the chairman really had high hopes for him. He was literally going places. If it wasn't for Sarah cheating on the job exam and making things so ugly, just me calling out his cheating wouldn't have done a thing, no matter how much proof I had. Even if I'd caught him red-handed, I couldn't have brought him down. Oliver really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way over Sarah. And you know how people at work don't forget that kind of thing. Once he hit rock bottom, everyone piled on. Loads of folks came out of the woodwork just to kick him when he was down. How do I know? Because his co-workers threw a surprise welcome back party for Li Jinjian. And yeah, I showed up too. They were all clinking glasses and having a blast. By the time I got home, I was feeling a little buzzed. Not seeing my son for so long got to me. I worried like crazy and headed straight for the bedroom. Then a low, rough male voice came from the sofa. He's out cold. Don't go waking him up. I just froze for a moment. I glanced back and saw Oliver sitting on the living room couch. His face clouded over and looking so dark you could almost wring water out of him. Still a little buzzed and feeling kind of amused, I walked over and sat down across from him, smiling low-key. I said, "Got something you want to say?" He hung his head, brows drawn tight, eyes shadowed. "You hate me that much?" I lifted an eyebrow, staring at him like, "Really?" He held up his phone. The video showed tonight's party, with me grinning ear to ear, clear as day. I didn't come clean. I was just trying to take him down to win custody. All I said was, "Since I was one of the people you bullied at work, I obviously had to be involved." He sneered in a low voice. "Workplace bullying happens all the time. Why are you so dead set on blaming me?" I let out a laugh, with a sharp edge to it. "Because your bullying was completely ridiculous, mixed with backstabbing, cheating, and you went straight for someone's career right from the get-go. That's why it was especially disgusting." He sighed, almost deflated. "Guess I was just too damn stubborn in the end." After a long pause, he asked again, "Do you hate me that much?" For a moment, I didn't even get what he was going on about. I thought we'd already moved past that whole thing from the gathering today. Then he just kept pushing. "Only you would make such a fuss over Sarah's hiring exam back then. You and Li Jingqian cooked this up together to take me down, didn't you? Smart people really do know how to get where they want." I caught my breath sharply. But honestly, I wasn't scared. I even laughed bitterly. "Sounds like you're saying I helped cheat or something. But wasn't it you who pulled all the strings? You've only got yourself to blame." I just tuned him out and headed straight back to the bedroom. He raised his hand, telling me to stay. He had something else to get off his chest. You've got every right to hate me. I'm not gonna argue. Back then, I was just impulsive. Now that everything's out, well, I've got nothing to say. All these years married to me, I'll admit, I never gave you one single day of peace. It's almost ridiculous if I'd really cheated. Well, that's on me for being stubborn and screwing up. I let my eyes fall, then looked up again, cold as ice. Honestly, I hate myself even more. Blind, clueless, wishy-washy. I actually thought trying to have a thing with someone like you was just a temporary lapse. Never in a million years thought you'd betray me for Sarah. I kept messing up again and again. I completely blew a hand that should have been winning. You said Sarah coming out of that crappy, barren place we grew up in wasn't easy. But whoever has it easy? Was it easy for me? I tore myself apart. Coming out of that mess, I should have been stronger. Looking ahead, not stuck wasting my time on someone like you. You think I've gotten all my anger out? Like I didn't end up the one who got hurt? Ha, it's just laughable. Funny how tragedy often shows up dressed like a joke, and losers end up pretending they're winners. These past years, if I hadn't found some way to pull myself out, I'd have completely lost myself. Sarah's no powerhouse. She probably shouldn't even get past the bottom rung. But you went all in to back her up, no matter what it cost. What's she got that I don't? I never got that kind of obvious favoritism. And you say you didn't cheat? That's just how you're defining not cheating. What if you actually did? Am I just supposed to walk away with empty hands then? I hesitated for a second, then said, there's no sense in waiting anymore. I've brought up divorce 1,000 times, you should be ready by now. But I'm telling you again, this divorce is happening. No more room to bargain. Chapter 32. The next morning, when I got up, I found Oliver still sitting right where he was last night, sticking to the exact same pose. Let him have his crazy fit. I don't care. I acted like I didn't see him and went to the kitchen to grab a bite. Our son goes to a private kindergarten, and they provide breakfast there. When I took our son out of the house, Oliver finally said something. Carly, I've thought a lot about what you said last night. Come back earlier today. Let's talk. I'm okay with the divorce. For a moment, my heart actually jumped. That night, I went out of my way to get our son the newest Lego set. Told him to play off to the side, while I sat down with his dad to talk about how our family was falling apart. Oliver was noticeably much calmer. Aside from the property we agreed was yours before we got married, I don't mind splitting everything else evenly. You can have custody of our son, too. I'm sorry I couldn't make you happy. After he said that, tears welled up in his eyes. Yeah, I looked down, not throwing any more harsh words back. But there's one condition. He looked serious. Carly, remember the last time you went on that business trip? The kid cried so hard he was hysterical. Trying to run after you, I almost couldn't hold him back. You gave me an early taste of how gut-wrenching it is to be separated from your own flesh and blood. And honestly, I'm scared. He took a few deep breaths, looking worn out, his face pale and scruffy from not shaving for days. I get that you want this divorce to be quick and drama-free. Believe me, I do. But please, try to see it from my side. I just can't be without my son. Losing you already crushed me. I paid a huge price for my stubbornness. Losing my son? That's something I just can't bear. So here's the deal. I want to be able to see my son whenever and wherever I want. I'm not trying to mess up your life or anything, but the divorce papers have got to say I get at least 120 hours a month of father-son time. I frowned. 120 hours? 4 hours a day? He shook his head, sounding sincere. Weekends are free all day, so the 120 hours will go by fast. Don't worry. I won't be showing up every day to bother you during the week. I frowned deeply, thinking it over. Actually, maybe this is good for the kid too. A father's love you can't just replace. But aren't you transferring? How would you even see the kid? I asked. I'm planning to quit. Find a new job, something with more flexible hours. I'll be there to pick the kid up right at 3:30 every afternoon, so you can just focus on work without worrying. He said it like it was no big deal, calm, open, like he'd been mulling it over for a long time. No hesitation at all. Me? I hesitated. The offer was way too good to be true. And honestly, I couldn't shake the feeling he had some kind of angle. Then he went on to clear things up. For the next few years, I'm putting my career on hold. Just focusing on helping you raise the kids, at least until they hit 2nd or 3rd grade and can fend for themselves. We've got 4 elders on top of us, forget the 2 from my family. Ever since your mom passed, there's no one left to lean on if I don't step up and sacrifice. The kids are the ones who'll end up paying. I've thought it all through. I know I owe you, and I'm gonna try to make it right. If I could just show you how serious I am, and if you still can't find anyone better, maybe you'd think about me again. After all, I'm your son's real mom. That counts for a lot. I know that's a bit selfish of me, but hey, you can just ignore it if you want. He said it straight up, and I honestly had nothing to say back. He made a solid point, and knowing him, it's not impossible. He's doing his part, and I can either just let it go or change my mind anytime. It's all on me. So I laid out my concern. I don't want our son meeting your girlfriend before he turns 16. That needs to be in the divorce agreement. This one's mostly about Sarah. Your values are way off. Hers are even worse. And honestly, I'm scared it'll rub off on the kids. That's my hard line. No ifs, no buts. I laid it down clearly. His offer was tempting. Sure, but I have my limits. He let out a long sigh, stared up at the ceiling, his eyes just empty. I'm done with Sarah. Fool me once, I thought I could pull her out of the muck. Never once did I imagine she'd drag me down right along with her. If I'd known how this would end, I wouldn't have even started. But what's done is done. Regret won't fix a thing. Instead of falling apart and drowning in regret, I'd rather do something real for the 2 of you, mother and daughter. I'm in so much pain. And you probably don't care. I haven't slept well for a long time, and it's all because I've been courting disaster myself. Every problem traces back to my own reckless behavior. I've paid the price, so how could you still think I would go back to her? Ha! I laughed bitterly. I actually trusted you all along, which is why I was fooled for so long. I paid a heavy price. So today, I don't trust anymore. The bond between you 2 is destined. I don't believe anything can come between you. He gave a bitter smile, his expression heavy with bitterness. He just shook his head, didn't bother arguing back. Maybe he realized he'd lied so much already that arguing more was pointless. Fine. Just put that clause in the divorce agreement then. Chapter 33. I finally managed to get divorced without a hitch. Another valuable certificate added to my pile. Felt surprisingly good. Oliver said he'd find a place and move out ASAP. Hoping I could give him a bit more time so he could save up and buy a small place nearby, close enough to still look after the kids and juggle work. I agreed, mostly just trying to be kind. Now that there's no intimacy left between us, things are actually easier to sort out. My mom didn't just bail on me when things got really rough. Her life was pretty heartbreaking. She gave up so much, really sacrificed herself for me. I get it. A lot of people look down on doing something like that. These days, girls usually focus on themselves first. Then being a mom comes after. But what if you've already had the kid? He can't fend for himself. He's totally helpless. Still completely at your mercy. How are you supposed to let him face such a cruel world? You've got to find some kind of balance between making sure your kid survives and chasing your own happiness. You can't just throw it all to one side and only think about yourself. So, since Oliver's ready to step up and take on the whole parenting thing, I'm more than willing to make it work. Everything's open for discussion. As long as I keep my head clear, nothing else really matters. Oliver stayed at my place while he was hunting for a new place. This house wasn't really the one we initially bought to be our marital home. By the time that house was done with renovations, our son had just been born. We planned to air the place out and get rid of the renovation smell before moving in. But that's also when our marriage hit rock bottom. I wasn't in the mood to handle the decorating. So we put the furniture and soft stuff on hold and eventually just rented the place out. We kept living in the same rental we started with. Lately, whenever Oliver has some downtime, he clears out the old marital home bit by bit and starts working on the decor. As for the kids' study room, we've got to think ahead. He's growing up, and study time's only gonna get longer, from kindergarten all the way to middle school. We can't just focus on what's happening right now. Even the kids' desk setup is pretty particular. The desk and chair both have adjustable heights. They put my bedroom in the north-facing room. Oliver said I tend to get heated easily, so sleeping in the north-facing room would be better for me. He tested out hundreds of mattresses before picking one. One time, when the neighbors were swapping furniture. They actually asked him to help them sort it all out for a good while. He took care of pretty much all the housework, cooking, laundry, mopping floors, cleaning up after the kid, buying clothes, and keeping an eye on his studies. He'd research tutoring classes for the kid, handle pickups and drop-offs, and stay in touch with the teachers. That let me dive headfirst into my work without worrying about a thing. When I got home, fed and ready to crash, he'd hand the kid over to me so I could have some nice, quiet time with my son. What really impressed me was when our kid was in the hospital with pneumonia, he stayed by his side nonstop for 3 days and nights. At night, there was just this little camping bed that creaked every time he moved, so he barely got any rest. Honestly, it made me happy when he cleaned up his act. He ended up being a decent example for our son. A real man has to own up to his responsibilities. I can see he's changed, but beyond that, I just can't give him anything else. I've already given him way too many chances. I was so lost for so long, I even thought about just putting up with it forever. Maybe even having his kid. But what did I get? Him pushing his luck even further. I'm done looking back. Chapter 34. He pretty much put his career on hold to take care of the kid. Yeah, he's got some side gigs, but they don't bring in much. When it comes to the big stuff for the kid, I'm the one always footing the bill. Every time he gets money from me, he looks so embarrassed. He never buys clothes for himself, if he can avoid it. He won't spend a dime. His spending habits have always been super tight. Nothing fancy. I could tell he was trying to keep his promise, turning from this spoiled, reckless guy into someone more calm and responsible. Later, he saw a chance while looking after the kids. He'd sometimes say that adults don't really need new clothes, but kids grow so fast, you have to keep replacing their stuff. And not just a few things. The whole shebang. Spring, summer, fall, winter, all getting swapped out. That kind of spending's no joke. I've been buying clothes from the same live stream shop for ages. Their stuff is such good value, and I hardly ever send anything back. Oliver caught on and even kept the packaging bags, which had the labeling factory's address on them. He started dabbling in kids' clothes business. He picked the time I was on a long break and ran all over the country looking for channels. Later on, he opened a physical store, selling stuff and streaming live at the same time. After a few years, he actually got it rolling on a decent scale. He bought an apartment in the same building as me and moved out of our place. Before he left, he told me, no matter what happens from here on, son will always be my treasure, and all the money I earn from now on is for him. I didn't really take it seriously, just gave a little smile and said, "That's sweet of you." He caught my half-hearted look and suddenly his face fell. A bit of sadness creeping in. "You don't believe me?" I said, "I do, but honestly, true feelings flip so fast, between spouses, and even between fathers and sons." His whole mood sank. His eyes got wet, and he stayed quiet for what felt like ages. Chapter 35. After Oliver's career started gaining momentum, Sarah gave him another call. We were out grabbing dinner, and to prove he had nothing to hide, he answered right there in front of me. On the other end, Sarah broke down again, crying, "Brother Oliver, it's been so long. I heard you've been struggling, but I was scared you'd blame me, so I didn't dare reach out. Not reaching out was the right move. I really got burned by you." Oliver suddenly warmed up and started opening up. "People say a beautiful woman's a disaster waiting to happen. I used to think someone like me isn't even worthy of that. But when things are smooth, it's easy to get carried away. That was me. You called me Superman, and I actually bought it. Guess what? I ended up crashing hard. Honestly, blaming women when things mess up, that's just men dodging responsibility. Everything between us is on me. I screwed up. All right? Anything else you want to say?" Silence fell on the other end. After a moment, Oliver was about to hang up, but Sarah quickly jumped in. "No, wait, I'm not calling to argue over who's right or wrong. I just mean, since you're already divorced, why couldn't there be something between us?" Oliver chuckled. "What are you talking about, girl? Where are you getting this from?" "Aw, it's totally my fault for making you misunderstand. There's no way anything could happen between us. You're reading too much into it. Just wash up and get some sleep." Sarah desperately stopped him from hanging up, voice cracking. "No, Oliver, You were so good to me before. Why couldn't there be something between us? Do I need to spell it out any clearer? Huh? Yeah. I was looking out for you. No question. But wasn't that just 'cause you're from the same hometown and a junior from school? It's been years. You've made a life here. You seriously still need me to take care of you? Nah. That stops now. Look, girl, even if I'm thinking about a new wife someday, it's gotta be someone we watch out for each other, not some mama or daughter I gotta support or look after. I can handle putting in all on my own for a bit, but not forever. Long term, I just can't carry that weight. If I'm gonna provide for anyone, it's my son. If I'm gonna bend, it's for my wife. Anyone else? I'm just helping them get through a rough patch. My bad. I have no sense of boundaries and went too far. I made you misunderstand. But today, let's get this out in the open, okay? Don't let there be any more misunderstandings in the future. Alright then. I'm hanging up now. Please don't call again. No, bro. Please don't. They were really crying desperately over there. It seems this wasn't the outcome Sarah expected. Bro, from now on, I'll take care of you. I'll do the laundry and cook, so you won't have to give so much on your own. No need. Oliver's tone suddenly rose. I can do laundry and cooking myself too. Taking care of my son recently, I've gotten familiar with the housekeeping industry. Which housekeeper is good? Which one is reliable? I know exactly. When I'm busy, I hire a housekeeper. I'm not lacking in laundry or cooking skills. Sarah was about to say something else. Oliver cut her off quick. Honestly, girl, you're just bad luck. Like that time I set you up with that guy, I was just trying to be nice. And what happened? You and him broke up. You tried to kill yourself. And because of all that, I missed saying goodbye to my mother-in-law. You know, I've known my mother-in-law since I was 16. She's always treated me well, even helped watch my kids later on. Thinking back now, I'm just filled with regret. It's been ages since you last saw me. Huh? Lately, my hair's gone way gray, you'd notice right away. All white on top. I feel awful about it. Hey girl, since I've always had your back, just cut me some slack, okay? Go your own way, find a good guy, and get married. On the other end, Sarah was crying her eyes out. Oliver looked relaxed. With a smirk of contempt, he shook his head and just hung up like it was nothing. My son asked, Dad, who was that? Oliver said, a real bad luck charm. My son asked, what's a bad luck charm? It's someone you'd want to stay miles away from if you knew what they were really like. My son seemed to get it. Sort of. Chapter 36. 4 years later. My son was in 3rd grade. Since the school district was really good, it was probably the best thing for his future. I didn't move to a big city. I stayed with this firm, worked my way up to partner, pulling in an annual salary with some equity on the side. Oliver's business was doing well, making a name for itself. If it weren't for our messed up relationship, a lot of people would probably be jealous of us. I ended up getting involved with a client, and after thinking it through, we decided to get married. When Oliver heard the news, he smiled for a moment, then slowly turned away, his face tightening and eyes dropping. A cold wave slowly crept over me, freezing me from head to toe. We stayed silent for what felt like ages. I bumped into him around the neighborhood. He was in his usual clothes, carrying the trash like any normal day. But on the way back, he moved so slowly, like he'd aged years overnight. Late at night, he shot me a message. Can I get custody of our son? I'm not planning to remarry. Maybe we can make a notarized agreement. I hesitated forever before replying. Let me check with our son first. Then he said again, all these years, I've been fighting to survive, trying to be better, trying to make you both happy, trying to get closer to you too, hoping to, and so, this is how it all turned out. I didn't bother replying anymore. Everything that needed saying was said when we got divorced, and the decisions were already made long before. There was no going back after that. I asked our son, and he said he could live with his dad, but only if things stayed the way they were. He wanted to keep seeing both his dad and his mom regularly. Of course, that's possible when it comes to wanting both sides. Most people would say it can't happen, but when it's my son, it has to. Chapter 37. On the day I got remarried, Oliver took our son away. My new husband is pretty well off and had already won our son over. I saw our son was doing okay. I finally breathed a sigh of relief. When I glanced over at Oliver, I suddenly realized his hair had gone way grayer. Before I could even react, he came over and said, "Thanks for giving me such a good son. Sorry I never made you happy. Honestly, I'm glad all those mistakes have been set right. I didn't really do much for you, but I'm happy for you anyway. It's such a shame, from youth to middle age, we never really ended up anywhere." After that, he quietly did the responsible thing, turned and headed off, taking our son to some out-of-the-way corner, where they ate in silence. Even after all these years, he never remarried. He raised his son really well. The dark, messy parts of his soul, he scrubbed them clean himself, finally able to hold his head high. But the one who stood by his side through all the springs and autumns? She was gone long ago.